They hired him.
Exactly. They hired him to do it, but this article makes it seem like he's bad, and all the information's in it. And the investigator they talked to, the federal investigator, confirms. He says, I have seen and read the emails between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks. Seth Rich was talking to a guy named Gavin McFadden, who's associated with WikiLeaks. He's dead now, interestingly enough. He's also dead, so dead men tell no tales.
Dead folks.
But then he's confirming it. He confirms the 44,000 emails, the 17,000 attachments, and yet all we see on the news, we're watching the news right now, it's nothing about this. It's all about these fake Trump-Russia connections. That's all it's ever going to be, it seems like.
It's a blocking move. They want to block what was a blockbuster story that knocks the stuffing out of their whole phony Russian collusion narrative with this fabricated story from that paragon of virtue and truthfulness, James Comey.
Well, and it makes those two federal investigations just seem obsolete right now because you've got the Senate and the House spending millions of dollars investigating this stuff, and it has nothing.
So now they're going to move on to lying
nothing.
to federal officers, and now they're going to move on to obstruction of justice. When the obstruction of justice is Comey letting Loretta Lynch do all the things she did. The only reason Comey had to finally say some bad stuff about Hillary was his whole agency was in an uproar. Credit to them, the FBI, because he met with her. Because she met with Clinton illegally, and so he had to say, okay, she committed crimes, but I can't get anybody to indict her. So that's why this happened, because we, the people, forced it out. The listeners watching right now, you're not going to get the last 20-minute analysis of what's happening anywhere else. We've done the research. Get this video out on YouTube, Facebook, restream it on Periscope, your own YouTube channels. I don't care. Call C-SPAN with it. You've got to get aggressive right now because there's a war for the future of this country and the world happening right now. And quite frankly, the reason we have these big sources, the reason we are breaking this is most people are cowards that work in government and media. And yeah, people are getting killed over this. So this isn't a game. This is big boy pants stuff. This is big league. This isn't Bush League. We're here. And so the good news is, as bad as all this is and as hardcore as the war is in information, we've come a long way, Roger, from where patriots were when you 15 years ago sort of getting more away from the establishment and writing all your books exposing the New World Order. You'd been one of them. You believed you were working for America through their own system. You kind of had that come to Jesus moment. Let's briefly talk about that. And now you've been a great force for good, kind of like Darth Vader throwing Emperor Palpatine down the reactor shaft.
Very interesting that the New York Times story, Alex, says that in Virginia, a federal grand jury has issued subpoenas in recent weeks for records related to Mr. Flynn. As you know, Susan Rice has refused to cooperate with the Senate or House Intelligence Committee pertaining to her misuse, illegal use of wiretapped information. Where is Susan Rice's subpoena? Why isn't Adam Schiff and Dianne Feinstein jumping up and down demanding that she appear before the committee? In fact, where is the investigation into what was, in fact, the surveillance of Donald Trump at Trump Tower? When James Comey told the House Intelligence Committee, he said there was no surveillance. That means if there was one recording, then Comey perjured himself.
And also, you have the Anthony Weiner's laptop. We've never seen what's on that. That story also evaporated because of the fake Pizzagate narrative that got everybody bamboozled by that.
That's right. And now we've got the ultimate bombshell. Federal investigators tell Fox News 40+ thousand emails, 44,000 plus, 17,000 plus attachments transferred to WikiLeaks by Seth Rich. It's no longer conspiracy theory. It's all confirmed. What are you going to do? Here's the article. Fox News, murdered DNC staffer, sent 44,000 internal emails to WikiLeaks. And then you actually read the Fox News report right here. The federal investigator who requested anonymity sent 44,003 emails, 17,761 attachments between Democratic National Committee leaders spanning from January 2015 through late May 2016 were transferred from Rich to McFadden before May 21st, before he got killed, shot in the back. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is so huge. And there it is, not a Russian. DNC staffer had contact with WikiLeaks, and it's all confirmed. A patriot. Dead, shot 4 times in the back, nothing stolen. My God, these hitmen at least should rob you so there's a cover story. They don't even care. They gunned down a guy that knows the Democrats are the most evil people on earth. The Republican leadership is a close second. Trump isn't perfect, but he's battling tyranny, trying to get our jobs back, fighting so hard. He's surrounded by scum. And I just, Roger, this is such just a crazy time.
I think Rob Dua raised an excellent point, and that is the other shoe that will ultimately drop is the 650,000 emails that Mr. Comey brushed off on the day before the election. So to get this in some perspective, it took Comey 2 years to review 33,000 emails of Hillary Clinton, but in 2 days, they completely vetted 650,000, and they told us it was benign. My sources in the NYPD, who originally found the emails, and guess what, Mr. Comey, kept a copy when they turned over
child porn, everything.
This is the downfall of the Clintons. There is evidence of treason. There is evidence of self-dealing,
money laundering,
corruption, child sex exploitation. This is a treasure trove that could send the Clintons to prison.
And they knew we had all that, so then they focused online on Reddit on some pizza place where the Democrats go. Everybody focuses on it. We look at it and go, that might be twisted. The real stuff's in New York. Then we back off of it just incredibility-wise, going, oh. Then they go, oh, you retracted because you knew it was fake. We led the way by early December saying, get off the pizza place. Pizzagate is pizza terms for pedophilia, but not Alefantis and all that. We said that was a diversion by the New York Times, by the Washington Post, by CNN, diverting us onto that. It only worked on me for a few days. It still works on some of the viewers, unfortunately, but that's how they do it. Just like it comes out, Seth Rich is murdered. He's the wiki.
We got to play easy.
Everything's confirmed. It's not the Russians. It's a patriotic Democrat. They bring out to buy time that Trump's with the Russians giving him secrets. None of that's true. That comes out. Then they jump to the next fraud. Now they jump to, he said, hey, he's resigned. I don't think he did anything wrong. I hope this gets dropped. That's totally normal. But they're going to act like, oh, my God, we just caught you. What does your gut tell you in closing, Roger Stone, where all this is going?
I think it's a non-starter. I think that Mr. Comey is busted. This is his memory. Again, he's hardly now an unbiased source. This is an attempt at revenge.
Clinton operative, HSBC.
And in this case,
if Trump has tapes, we can prove this is forged. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't think that the president would have gone out on Twitter and intimated that there were tapes unless there were. Never underestimate Donald J. Trump. Never.
Let me ask you this question. It's totally legal for him to record that. The phone call's recorded anyways. National security.
As you know, Presidents Kennedy, Nixon famously, but Presidents Kennedy and Johnson also recorded their phone calls.
Because folks make up, even me, I'm not like a president. People get on the phone with me, they make crap up I didn't say just to act like,
Well, in the case of Nixon, the main reason that he recorded his phone calls was because he knew Henry Kissinger would come back later and take credit for all of the massive successes in foreign policy that were Nixon's idea, where Henry was merely the implementer. He put in the recording system to protect himself from Dr. Henry Kissinger, and that is a fact. I know this because the president told me that himself.
And one thing, Alex, you can't underestimate the people out there that are brainwashed into believing this Russian cult fairy tale. When I put out that tweet last night with Seth Rich wasn't a Russian, he was a patriot, people were going, oh, that's how the Russians off you. That's how they made it look. People still believe. They want to believe no matter what. You could have bona fide proof that Seth Rich was not a Russian in any way, shape, or form and did it. They don't care. They want to believe the Russian narrative.
Let me expand on it. In fact, maybe we can end with this in a few minutes. Go to our Facebook. It's that first video we did last night about McMaster outed, as the guy that leaked the info, where the guy runs up and yells at us, the British guy.
Yes.
And by the way, I love Brits, but this guy's a little panty waist.
He had the handkerchief tucked in his sleeve. Did you notice that?
Exactly. We're all there. We're like down some hallway at the JW Marriott. My parents are downstairs having dinner. We go do a live feed on this. We pick some hallway. Yeah. Let's back it up to the beginning. We'll play the whole thing at the end of this. And I hear, you're a traitor, and he's a traitor, and you're going to take traitors. You're going, and these two guys are bowed up like 80 feet away. So I march over and I go, who's a traitor? So he goes, oh, how's your wife doing? Knowing I had a divorce 3 years ago and it's been in the news. I'm like, well, my new wife's doing great. My new child, my kids are with me. Everything's great. All the stuff you saw on the news is a hoax. But that part didn't matter. He just says, I don't want to talk to you. You're just a piece of crap. And I had other people go, F you. But here's the good news. We're outside literally just a feet of this. Few cars drive by and go, F you, Alex Jones, F you, Roger Stone. We're showing we're having an effect. People in cars driving by in the dark know who we are. I mean, good God. So
we revel in it. Go ahead.
We revel in it. So then we're walking over and I hear my voice. There's a guy on a phone listening to the show while he's waiting for his rideshare. And we talked to him, took photos with him. Then we go over, and the two valets come over with our cars. We weren't staying there. We were eating dinner there. And they're listeners. I'm driving home. I turn the talk radio on. They're talking about Roger been on the show that day. I get home. The Statesman has written an article. The point is that we're changing history. Karl Rove said he was history's actor and making up globalist BS. No, we the people are. So the good news is here, they may call us traitors all day. The fact that Roger Stone, super right-wing, anti-communist, communist Cuban, married to a, famous, Cuban exile's daughter, my family battling communist, the claim, plus the Russians aren't communists now, that we're controlled by them is an insult. I've never had Russians, except for like once in New York with sex ops or something, and I said, obviously, no, that's how they operate. I have never dealt with Russians. I've dealt with Saudi Arabians. I've dealt with Latin American groups. I've dealt with all these agencies. I've dealt with leftist groups, communist, Ford Foundation. The Russians on the Richter scale, RT's barely watched in the United States. It's big overseas. The Russians aren't running this. You, the listeners, support Infowars.com. We want lower tax.
So bullshit.
The Second Amendment sovereignty. The idea that Trump controlling our borders, bringing in trillions of the stock market, cutting the UN funding, destroying ISIS, reversing the UN takeover, getting us conservative to the Supreme Court. The idea that he is a Russian is God, if he is a Russian, I love Russians. This is a load of manure. Go ahead.
Well, and it's particularly outrageous in view of the fact that Bill Clinton actually
keep talking for a minute. You take over.
Sold our missile guidance technology to the Chinese, an act of treason for which he got illegal campaign contributions. Bill Clinton gave $1 billion transfer to the Russians that they used to build a bomb-proof bunker, a missile-proof bunker in the Ural Mountains, another act of treason. Yet they have the nerve to call us traitors. Well, I've been called a dirty trickster. There's one trick that's not in my bag, and that's treason. I resent it, which is why, Alex, I continue to demand to testify before the House and Senate Intelligence Committees.
Well, Roger, I get the fact that you revel in them calling you a trickster, so you have fun with it. But they ran the media in the 70s and 80s. You helped invent what they call negative campaigning. That just meant countering them with the truth. I watched those ads you produced. They're milquetoast compared to today. I use the truth. They always call it a weapon, call it hateful. So I get you rebel in their definition, but I know you well. Everything, because I did my own research for an hour, so did you. We walk in here, we're on the same sheet of music because it's the truth. I've not seen you lie or twist or dissemble in the years I've known you. So then it's kind of this paradoxical thing that you let them call you that and kind of go along with it. Because I guess
that
ain't
ain't good, dude. I'm trying to stop
villains
drinking
are
and
cool.
I'm craving a beer
Everybody likes
so
villains in
bad.
wrestling, but it's just
That
not
ain't
true,
good.
Roger.
I
get
rum,
you
spit
supported
it out.
some third
That'll
world
help,
strong
it
men
sucks.
and dictators. Now, look,
All of whom were pro-United States and pro-West.
I was about to say, who were literally fighting communists that would murder every person that knew how to wipe their ass in places, in Africa or Latin America. So my whole thing is, literally communists are killing everybody. Roger Stone goes pro-U.S. government, has somebody
Only way
that believes
around
lets
it
people have
is water and
electricity
spicy
let
food.
Christians live in peace. I'm not saying it's perfect, but the left always saying, I saw something where communists never killed anybody. They're the dirt bags. So why do you revel in the villain thing?
I don't, but I'm stuck with it. And the truth is, it's going to lead my obit in the New York Times when I died. I'm not concerned about it because I know that the left would not be attacking me this way.
Sweet.
They would not be trying to hang this title on me if I had been ineffective. That's the bottom line. It's not about me. I don't care whether people like me. I care about whether my ideals succeed. I care about whether the candidates who are carrying the banner of freedom win. That's what I care about.
You just said it. We're the shock troops hitting the barbed wire at the machine gun nest so the guys with the flamethrowers can come up. We're the shock troops that hit it first.
I couldn't win an election. I'm not standing for an election. But I can win an election for candidates who are putting forward the precepts of freedom and liberty in a smaller, more efficient constitutional government. That's what this fight is
about. And that's
about.
the paradox. These idiots, I realized this years ago, they don't put in the news, I'm a loser or I'm getting sued or I've lost my wife. as if it really hurts me. It only makes me bigger. They do it so weak, little-minded people think, oh, he's a failure. Alex Jones is a failure. No. The media, when it had more respect 50 years ago, would have destroyed me with all this. They're so discredited. When they attacked Rand Paul 5 years ago, they made him get elected in a landslide. As soon as they attack us, they're so discredited, they don't get... Let me explain something to all the weak minds that comment on Twitter and Facebook and Google and say, oh, look at you, you're a loser. I've never had more listeners. I've never had more viewers. I've never had more success. I've never known cooler people. We've never had such an effect in society, in the world, than we are because the discredited establishment is attacking us. They're discredited. They're the system falling apart. They are the bygones. They're gone. They're old. We're trying to lead into a new world for our children and grandchildren. That's what America's all about. Trailblazing. Other people may look at the man who stumbles in the arena. In fact, I meant to play this the other day. That famous Teddy Roosevelt quote about the man in the arena. If we can put it on screen. And final comments from you and We're going to go this tape. But, don't worry about the guy that sits there, the cynic, the critic up in the bleachers, who points at the strong man stumbling and failing, trying to do great things, or maybe even doing great things. And
Maybe. I spy with my little eyes something red. Marcus, no.
And changing the world, because it is the man in the arena and the woman in the arena that actually counts. And I saw Putin. Putin's made stuff more conservative, pro-Christian, lower taxes than us, has a horrible job in Russia. He has reformed them after 80 years of globalist control so much. I'm not a Putinite. I don't sit there and have a picture of him on my wall. But the point is that compared to our leaders, he's so much more of a straight shooter. And then he fell down in a match with a bunch of guys younger than him twice. He made like 5 or 6 goals. He fell down twice playing hockey. And they said, look, he says he's a strong man, but he fell down. You think any of our politicians at 65 would get out there on a hockey rink and start winning? He fell down. He's the man in the arena. Look at how the strong man fell. You think when I fall down, it's some victory? Yeah, I'm in the arena, fools. And I don't say that to my enemies like I'm pissing on them. I want you to be real men finally and not be candy asses that sit there and look at people in the arena. If they kill me, I win. If I don't get killed and live to 110, I win. I win because I'm real. I'm real because I took action. I'm real because I cared about people. I'm real because I told the truth. Get used to it. Nothing can trump it. Nothing can stop it. And they hate Trump because he's real. He believes in America. Is his vision perfect? No, none of ours are. But they know he's who he is. He represents us, and they're shitting their drawers. Sorry, Roger.
Look, there is no shame in trying and failing. There's only shame in not trying and not striving and not fighting. This is true of the president. Look at the way the mainstream media cackled about the failure of the repeal of Obamacare. Obsessed with it. Redicing it weeks after.
A month later, it passes.
And a month later, it passes, meaning that all of that Sturm and Drang was for nothing.
Oh, 8 goals, sorry.
But they wanted to point out how the president failed. He does not lose anything in his base, in my view, by striving against the monolith that surrounds him in Washington and losing. He only loses when he fails to fight. He only loses when he gives up. And he's not a quitter, and he will never give up in his efforts to make this country great again.
Isn't this the archetypal underdog, the lion against 1,000 hyenas and wolves? I mean, this is so epic what we're watching. I don't want to give my heart to Trump. I don't, but it's America. It's the striving. It's our enemies attacking him. You know a man by his enemies. The fact is, he really is doing things that are so epic, and then a bunch of weaklings say anonymously, we think he's got Alzheimer's. Just made up horse manure. I mean, it just pisses me off.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. I think the president's got a little bit of a shock here. In other words,
all right, guys, I'll be back. I need to go use the restroom.
Thought that if he was congenial and he tried to unite the country and he was conciliatory, that the Democrats would meet him halfway and the media would meet him halfway. He did, after all, win the election, and he's the president of the United States. What he's found is that his critics are more ferocious, more vicious, less truthful than ever before. and you push Donald Trump into a corner, you will make a giant mistake. He will come back at you. He will fight. He's now, I think, clearly defined who the enemies are. And he's starting to catch on that those establishment Republicans that he brought inside the tent have not served him well.
And exactly what you told me and other sources said last week. They said he's pissed. He's saying, you make your cabinets work or you're gone. I don't care. No more excuses. I want patriots in. And they're saying, oh, the White House, New York Times, they're very uncomfortable. So Trump now gets, I just wanted to cut taxes and make poor people wealthy and make all the rich even richer. I just wanted to not have one-way streets screwing us. And you people are against me. He is not even demoralized now. He's pissed.
I think that's true. I think he's angry. And he's been epically disserved by many of the people that he has selected. He's made mistakes, but he did it for good reasons. He thought uniting the country, uniting the party, he thought he would have some cohesiveness. What he doesn't understand is that the globalists and the two-party duopoly that have run this country for the last 30 years into the gutter are not going to give away power easily.
He delivered trillions in the stock market, hundreds of billions in jobs, instantly, did everything he said, and then his own base bitch he didn't do more. And then he said, oh, compromise to get more stuff done, and they attacked him more. So now we just got to pray for Trump, pray for InfoWars, pray for all of us, because we're in the eye of the storm. Closing comment from Rob Duth and Roger Stone, and then I'm going to play this whole video of us last night breaking down what happened and running into this cuck. And I wasn't looking for trouble, but you want to call me a traitor and then not say it to my face once I walk up to you? It's like, dude, it means something to say I'm a traitor. I'm a real person. And you're not even a citizen running your mouth. But see, I'm a traitor against globalism. I'm a traitor against trendyism. I'm a traitor against dandies. Here it is.
Hey, Alex, just to back up what you were saying earlier about the shock troopers. In that tweet I put out, imagine my shock that, we were covering this months ago about Seth Rich being the guy who leaked this information to WikiLeaks. Back on August 10th, 2016, we have the video, Does Assange Have Proof of Clinton Murder? And it's you in the show talking about this particular incident. We were talking about this back in August. That is why we need your support more than ever, because we're out there on the front lines getting the news and giving it to you straight, while other people are running around going, oh, we can't say this yet. It's unsubstantiated. We knew it was. The writing was on the wall. It was so clear. Obviously, you have a guy shot twice in the back, and they didn't steal anything. Didn't steal his wallet. Didn't steal his watch. Didn't steal his cell phone.
At 3 o'clock in the morning.
At 3 in the morning, yeah. And we're supposed to believe, it was a robbery gone bad. Total BS. We saw it from the beginning. And that's just one of the many articles and videos that we had out there on the subject back in the summer of 2016. Here we are approaching the summer of 2017, and we're finally getting a little bit of the truth. I
tell you, it's every day what we reported months ago, years ago, days ago is coming out, and that's why they hate us. So everybody's got to spread these videos and articles, InfoWarsStore.com, a lot of great nutraceuticals, great products. We have Trump pinch shirts, Trump's My President shirts to meet like-minded people, trigger anti-free speech people at cost $4.95. But whatever you do, please spread these videos and articles by hand, because they're trying to block us everywhere. Roger Stone, closing comments.
Every time the narrative turns against Donald Trump, he manages to re-grab control of the narrative. Just as after his State of the Union address on a Monday, on Wednesday, it was leaked that Sessions had met with the ambassador. And then on Friday, Donald Trump counterpunches with the news that he was under surveillance at Trump Tower during the campaign, which he was. My money's on the president. He will re-grab this narrative shortly.
I agree, but it's a battle between, it comes out he was spied on, he was right. It comes out he wasn't working with the Russians, he's right. It comes out it's Seth Rich, the DNC, not the Russians. He keeps getting proven right for, not only say intellectuals, but news hounds that are informed and have memories. A large section of the public, unfortunately, doesn't know the three branches of government. They don't understand any of this. They just keep hearing Russian, covered up from the FBI, asked the FBI to drop this. They don't know Comey was a, Clinton poll writer. They don't know any of that stuff. And then they just see that this guy's 7 feet tall. He says, Lordy, 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 I'm a snake handler. Jesus says Trump's the devil, Lordy, Lordy. I mean, they don't know. So I just hope the police, the military, the law enforcement, and others understand, that if you sell Trump out and do this, you have really, really disgraced yourself. And the American people, too. So
it's an info war. In fact, it's an info war. And we have to get the information to the American people, because they're not going to get it from the mainstream media.
All right, I know you're staying later, so you can go talk to Till Love and other stuff, and catch that later FLuck books. So, Roger Stone, I want to thank you for joining us. With a lot of special reports coming up with you. The Nightly News tonight, 7 o'clock Central. And it's great to have you with us more and more. Hopefully, in the near future, we're going to be doing some deals where we're going to be putting down a syndicated radio show for you. So I look forward to that. And a lot of other things we're going to be working on. So we're going to go to this piece at the end of this live feed from last night at the JW Marriott. And I don't know if you can even hear it, but the guy's like 70 feet away or whatever it is. And goes, shut up, you're a traitor. And he's not even an American telling me I'm a traitor. And he's like, why are you upset and acting all trendy? It's like, dude, it's like, man, you people aren't the traitors. You're the people that are here pissing down our backs. So here is that video.
We're doing Facebook mentions, and Alex and Roger Stone are coming in just a moment. I have some breaking news on this current situation with the apparent leaks with oh, here they come. Here they come. So they're coming up the hill. There's some breaking news, some information on the new Russian supposed information.
Here we go. Are you guys already rolling?
Yeah.
You're already live right now?
Rolling.
How long did you start?
Just right now.
Well, that's perfect timing. Let's go over here. This will be good right here. We can just shoot this way with that background back this way. Let's just come around here. Okay, come on in close. Let me get some audio on this. I made phone calls about an hour and a half ago to my sources, and I said, McMaster's the reported leaker almost every time. He's the one we know Trump's really, really pissed at, has been testing leaks with. And then I was making phone calls to my sources saying, wait a minute, there's only a few people in this meeting with the Russian ambassador to the United States and the Russian foreign minister, Lavrov. And the media was already saying he's a Russian agent for meeting with him, the president is, and the president's not allowed to talk to anybody, only the deep state is. All this craziness, and they might have planted listening devices. And then suddenly McMaster, who's in the meeting with the Secretary of State and one other unmentioned person, so you got Trump, the Russian ambassador, the Russian foreign minister, and then you've got the Secretary of State, you've got the head of the National Security Advisor, McMaster, and then who's this other person there that they're claiming is the leaker, when it's McMaster that over and over again has been caught doing this, and who we know is making these big leaks. And so I made phone calls saying, isn't McMaster probably the main suspect? And they said, absolutely, that's the word. So that I could
Giraffe, follow. Thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate that, dude.
He's here in Austin visiting.
Hell yeah, man.
About 45 minutes later.
Sorry about the notifications that didn't go off.
Is the main guy.
That was my bad. I don't know what the hell happened.
Roger, let's talk about what's happened.
Hell yeah, dude. Thanks, man. Means a lot, man. I'm pushing. I'm just, we're just here, watch, I don't know if you followed, where'd you follow? Did you follow on Hitbox or? Oh, yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate the follow on Hitbox. Thanks, man. Thanks for the follow, man. I love you, buddy. Hope you're enjoying the stream, my friend.
So he looks like he, to me, is trying to be the savior here because he knows Trump had his neck on the chopping block. That's the motive. We haven't even talked about this detailed yet. What's your breakdown?
First of all, I think it's really important that the American people know that this story is false. Donald Trump did not give any classified secret information to the Russians. That is bogus. The leak definitely came out of the NSA, did not come out of the White House. Yet another finger pointed at McMaster. As Mike Cernovich reported on InfoWars, McMaster's head is on the chopping block, and therefore he has just leaked this to make himself indispensable. They had to march McMaster out for the denial, and therefore now they can't fire him or they can't laterally move him. Here's the key point. According to CNN, the leak of classified information has to do with the fact that ISIS is developing technology to use a laptop computer as a bomb to get those computers on a plane. That's classified. The Russians are our ally in the fight against ISIS, and the president gave away no classified information. This is a classic Washington scam in which McMaster is trying to save his turf.
And let's expand on that, just to be clear. McMaster has the history. He has the motive. He's been caught doing this over and over again.
Oh,
and it's been known that ISIS and Al-Qaeda is trying to use laptops for at least 6 months. So there's this obsession by the deep state to always act like Trump is somehow engaged in treason as the president, talking to the Russians, meeting with the Russians, to the point of he hasn't even met with Putin yet. They're trying to paralyze him. That's what Ronald Reagan did. It's what George W. Bush did. It's what Barack Obama did. It's part of his job. And so we know this guy's for America. We know this guy's expanding the republic. We know all this stuff. Hey, come here. Come on over camera.
I'm just happy.
No, you're talking to the traitors. No, I get it. I know. You're a job back.
Hey, Alex, you're absolutely crazy. And I think Michael can take this. Run your mouth. I don't need to run my mouth. You guys are insane. The Stone's standing over there basically saying that the guy that you guys elected is not a traitor. You've got guys running around reading off stuff. It's insane. This is the United States of America. I grew up looking at this country thinking it was fantastic, and you've got that? What have you done?
Why did you bring it here? Why did you bring the socialism?
What have you done? What have you done to this
Why
country?
did you bring the cuck-mailed stuff here?
What have you done?
Why did you bring the cuck-mailed stuff here?
What cuck-mailed stuff? What are you talking
About
about?
the cuck stuff, the wimp stuff. When you come here to America, when we kicked the redcoats out 245 years ago, and you come here and run your mouth, dude. Go back to England. It's overrun by Muslims.
I don't live in
Listen, the point is, but you've come here to lecture us when we're on the phone with New York Times. We're on the phone.
My grandfather fought alongside Americans in North Africa, in Sicily, and Southern Italy in the Second
World War. And with NSA sources,
he would turn in his grave to see people like you.
Both my grandfathers were in World War II. Don't try.
It's absolutely German right now.
Yeah. Oh, no. Now we're the Germans. See how this works? This is how the cuck-mail stuff works. You just want to walk by and run your mouth. I'm glad you actually had the nerve.
I'm not running my mouth. I listen to you and I listen to you. You actually have a vested interest in getting your skin out of this.
I'm gonna tell you this. You're gonna fail. We're gonna restore the republic. We're gonna cut the tax.
The only country that you guys have attacked, your president's attacked right now, is Canada through trade sanctions right now. That's the only country. After all of these 100 days in talk, is Canada for milk and for softwood lumber.
$3 trillion in the stock market. 300 billion.
I gotta go.
300 billion. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, you're a big man. We have the millions of dollars. You have nothing.
I'm not. You're attacking me. I'm just the guy on the street.
You shut your mouth off first.
No, you called us an ex.
You're a cuck.
How's your wife doing?
You're a cuck. My wife's great. She's right down there eating dinner. It's awesome. She's having a baby. We're doing real good around here. Anyways,
How's your boyfriend?
yeah, exactly. Listen, I want to respond to all this. Let me tell you something. I'm going to break this down for you what happened, okay? They come out every day saying our president's a traitor because globalists have hijacked this country and have been running into the ground. And all the multinational interests that piss on this nation want to sit here and attack people that stand up for it and are returning power to Washington and to the states and to the people. That's happening and the elites are panicking. The TPP, where multinationals would run all of our major business and control our country, it's gone. He did that day 3 in the White House. $3+ trillion is in the stock market. $300 billion already in new jobs. 500,000 new jobs on top of that. And they can't stand it. The UN funding cut in half. The power being returned to the people. Obamacare repealed in the House, that giant scam job. And you've got these cucked people that are total cowards. We're gonna end this feed in a minute because I'm gonna give that guy the attention and just get back to a total breakdown of the bottom line. You have the president surrounded by enemies in Congress, by both parties, and by people leaking everything he's supposedly doing to sabotage restoring this republic. And you've got cowards literally telling us that his grandfather fought the Nazis in his little script, thinking we're the Nazi party here when this is America, dumbass. Okay, this isn't Germany. It's Germany opening it up to Muslims. It's Germany bringing in the Islamics. It's Germany making retirees give their houses up to the Islamicists. And we're here. These guys want to walk by and shoot their mouths off and go, F. Alex Jones, Donald Trump's a traitor. When he has no evidence, no proof. It's the globalist Hillary that sold us out to multinationals. It's the globalists that sold us out to China and Russia. It's the globalists. Did Panama Canal get given to the Chinese by Donald John Trump? No, it got given by Jimmy Carter and then by the Clintons. We didn't. Who gave the missile secrets to China? The Clintons. Who gave the nuclear reactors to North Korea? The Clintons. Who's standing up to the mess they created? Donald Trump. I am a policy wonk. All I do is study news. All I do is research. All I do is take action. And I have to sit there and watch McMaster and all these other guys who we know are the leakers. We told you all was coming a week before it all broke. And we see these lesser so-called men run their mouths because the comedians on TV pose as news presenters and sit there and attack me and myself and all the rest of this crap. And they sit there and have this great enjoyment asking me, how's my wife doing? She's downstairs eating dinner.
We just had a baby. We're doing real good. We're kicking ass. My audience has doubled since I met this guy, and it was already gigantic. We're the winners, dumbasses. Here's the deal. They tell these cucks we're failures so they can sit there and feel big about themselves and wander around and tell us that we're failures when we are the winners. We're changing the world. And the rest of you who are little traitors, you sit there and look at us and tell us that you're winning when you're losing. Roger, go ahead.
The usual understatement by Alex Jones. Look, we don't need some elitist creep from the UK to tell us what's going on here. To get back to the main point, this is a major media thrust, an attack on the president to further destabilize him. It is not coincidental that there's a video up today accusing the president of having Alzheimer's and making the case that he is non-compos mentis. This is the next big wave that they intend to put out there. Well, I've spoken to the president in recent days. He's perfectly sane. He is upbeat. He is combative. He has no intention of folding for the globalists. And that I can assure you.
And it wasn't bad. We got interrupted by that guy, but I'm going to end this transmission, come back with a totally clean one. I'm going to post on InfoWars and Prison Planet. I'm going to tweet out on Real Alex Jones, on Stone Cold Truth, Roger Stone's tweet, because this is so big. Okay, we have the president under mega, massive, complete, and total attack. And all these fake cucked males can't even believe that people even can talk. They don't believe that's a sign of conspiracy theory. If a man can talk or have kids, that's a sign he's bad. So we can still talk. We still walk bipedally. We have a president who isn't a coward. He's absolutely devastating all the cowards and all the scum, and all these cowards want to hide the shadows and put out anonymous bullshit all day long, and then sit there and come back like they're the saviors of the president, saying, I was in the meeting, none of this happened. It shows how desperate they are, that nationalism's rising worldwide, and we're kicking your ass everywhere except France. So you got France on your side. Sorry. That tells you where you're at. Infowars.com/show. I'm going to end this transmission. We'll come back with one more live one in a second. Stay with us.
Complete.
Wild horses couldn't drag me away from this broadcast.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Right
It's
now
kind
at
of embarrassing.
Infowars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Tuesday, already the 16th day of May 2017, and the deep state is now out in the open, and it has emerged like the Kraken out of the Aegean Sea and is trying to destroy Donald Trump and the American people's desperate attempt to get control of our government back from the globalist. Doesn't mean Trump's perfect. Doesn't mean Trump has all the answers. Doesn't mean he's not fallible like everybody else. But he is a real American president who really is trying to turn our economy around and bring back our pride. And the enemy is trying to destroy him like I've never seen. It is so cartoonish. It is so naked. It is so ridiculous at this point. I don't even know what to say. Ladies and gentlemen, Roger Stone's going to be in studio with us coming up here for the next hour. We have several other informative guests today, but let me just break this down. It is incontrovertible fact that President Trump released nothing classified in his meeting with the Russian foreign minister and the Russian head ambassador. Last night, it was about 5 o'clock, and I was at home with my family, and I was getting ready to go out to eat a business meeting with Roger Stone and some of the crew, and my parents went along. And I pull up the story where Trump has supposedly given classified information to the Russians in this meeting. First, they said he let them plant bugs in there and didn't let reporters in. It was all these lies. And now they were saying this. And then I go, and McMaster runs out and says, none of this is true. It's made up. I was there. And the first thing hit me. McMaster's one of the known big leakers, deep state operatives. I said he knows his neck's on the chopping block reportedly in the next week or so. He's doing this to be the savior. He's the leaker working with the Washington Post. I called a lot of really smart people, and Roger called some folks. I'll just leave it at that. And that's exactly what they said before we even said, do you think it's McMaster? Everybody Well, we know it came out of the National Security Agency. And that's what he sits atop of as the National Security Advisor to the president. They've got the big office of the head of national intelligence that he interfaces with. Ladies and gentlemen, this is incredible. And what was even more incredible is I was driving to eat dinner at like 5:45. I was listening to local news, national news on local radio, and it hit me so hard it gave me a headache. Because they started getting into what the classified info was about ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and it was they were planning to load laptops with bombs. And it hit me, not like in joy that I can disprove what liars they are, but that they're that sick and think we're that stupid. The level of lying by the Washington Post that reportedly cheered as they saw record traffic coming into their website. I have over 100 articles. You can Google ISIS bomb makers plan to put bombs in laptops. You'll get AP, Reuters, New York Times, Washington Post, the Express, the BBC, literally over 100 articles from April and March saying exactly what the president talked about, saying, you know, we're really concerned about them blowing up airplanes with this. What do you think? That's what the president's supposed to talk to foreign leaders about. And these traitors, these scumbags, turn that into treason by our president. Now, here's the rest of the story of this Machiavellian tale, and it's on Infowars.com. Guess what broke 30 minutes before they put out this piece of BS that they had been floating around for the last couple days? That Seth Rich's PI got in the laptop, and clearly he was killed because he was interfacing with WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks is as much as said, we don't give out our sources, but Seth Rich, you know, that was probably our source. WikiLeaks needs to just release it all right now, or Assange, you're a dead man. The globalists are going to kill you. All the planets are aligning now. They're making their move on Trump soon. You can see it, but more importantly, I can feel it. Ladies and gentlemen, hold fast. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the 16th day of May 2017 on this Tuesday global transmission. We're going to be live here from the InfoWars News Centers for the next 4 hours. Riding shotgun with me for part of the transmission is Roger Stone, formerly head of the Trump campaign that obviously brought him to victory. The deep state is lashing out big time. Seth Rich murder developments, the guy that got shot 4 times in the back a day after WikiLeaks got information, they said, from a DNC insider. Well, we have also seen folks come out like Julian Assange and say, we don't ever give out sources, but Seth Rich was basically our source. Well, absolutely, he's been killed. Obviously, you never give out sources to protect them, but he's been killed now. You've got to completely release that information and what else you have, WikiLeaks, because the planets are now aligning. Notice, within 30 minutes of this breaking on Fox television, they're in D.C., getting around the controlled corporate media, the whole Washington Post story comes out that Trump didn't just let them plant listening devices in the Oval Office, the Russians. He didn't just keep out the media and only let the Russians in. None of that was true. He had their pool reporter, our pool reporter, America's. No. He gave them classified info on Al-Qaeda and ISIS and on an ally in the Middle East that gave us intel. And then we learned what he talked about. He talked about laptop bombs that ISIS has been putting out in public releases and in recruitment videos and in bomb-making training that they've been preparing. This has been in the news April and again in March and again this year. It's been in the Washington Post. It's been in the New York Times. I have screenshots of all of it that we're going to be putting on screen for everyone. So here it is. Trump revealed highly classified information to Russia foreign minister and ambassador. And then you've got them all attacking him in the Washington Post, the New York Times. But here they are in the New York Times, and here they are with Max Boot and all of the publications coming out. Adam Goldman, you name it, New York Times. On March 22nd, intelligence shows Islamic State is developing a bomb hidden in portable electronic devices. Here it is. U.S. raid in Yemen led to laptop ban on flights. That was on the news in April and in March. All Trump discussed was something that is in the news. It's like Trump saying, did you see the yellow sun, Lavrov, up in the sky today? Did you see that big old yellow sun? And they go, yes, Mr. President, we saw the yellow sun. And the news goes, my God, he just gave away the intelligence. This man is a traitor. So this is the incredible level of lies. bona fide, completely fake, saying the sun is in the sky. But meanwhile, 30 minutes after it comes out, Seth Rich, the private eye that was originally hired by the family, that went in and got into the laptop, saying, yes, he was in contact with WikiLeaks. The family said they thought he was killed in foul play by the Democrats, but now they've reversed that, at least Fox News is claiming, and says, oh, the family's saying it isn't true what the PI says. So this is amazing. There's the original story, Fox 5, up on Infowars.com. By the way, they're trying to take these articles down. Everybody should screenshot this. Family's private investigator. There is evidence Seth Rich had contact with WikiLeaks prior to the death. We have Assange as saying as much, even though he doesn't want to break his code of never giving up sources. That's kind of letter of the law. When someone's been killed and the globalists know they're the source and they're a hero and they're not a Russian.
This is very clear. Julian Assange offered a $25,000 reward for anyone who had information regarding the murder of Seth Rich. What clearer indication could you have had that Rich was his source? Rich was not a low-level grunt at the DNC. He was the head of the IT division. So this is a classic example of them creating fake news in an attempt to blunt this devastating news. What the president should do immediately is order that the FBI take over the investigation into the Rich murder from the D.C. Metropolitan Police. Both of them are technically under the control of the President of the United States.
And let's go further. We have this PI that was hired by the family saying, I talked to senior police officers that said, quote, we were ordered to stand down on this murder investigation. This is a respected PI with contacts in the police department, former law enforcement. This is bombshell intel.
Well,
bombshell intel.
And Alex, I would point out that that Mark Rich's parents, Seth Rich's parents have changed their story. They initially said that they did not believe this was a robbery. In fact, Mr. Rich's father was quoted as saying that his ring and his wallet and his jewelry and his cash was intact. But now they seem to be, with a completely different story, trying to discredit the work of this private detective. There is, of course, one other person who could absolutely prove that Mark Rich was a source, and he has no source to protect because, as you point out, Mr. Rich is dead, and that is Julian Assange. Perhaps he will be heard from.
Absolutely. We're going to walk all through this and recap this, but this is simply amazing. And speaking of that clip, here is the original report from Fox there in D.C., and the full report is up on Infowars.com, and the full transcript in an article by Paul Watson where he talks about the fact that he talked to the senior police and they told him we were ordered to, quote, stand down. Here is that report.
We are just 2 months shy of the 1-year anniversary of Seth Rich's murder. And ever since we learned Rich was a DNC staffer, the conspiracy theories online have taken a life of their own. But today, Fox 5 has learned there is new information that could prove these theorists are, in fact, right. New information from the family's private investigator suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has D.C. Police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that? The Rich family hired Rod Wheeler, a former MPD homicide detective, to run a parallel investigation into their son's death. Wheeler says he believes there's a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation.
The police department nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information
For
that
sure.
could link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely.
I want that private detective on.
Confirmed. Actually, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down in this case, and I can't share any information with you. Now, that's highly unusual for a murder investigation, especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC, and that's the information that's going to come out tomorrow.
Wow, and that's coming out today. So now they've got the top DNC spin master, who is a crisis expert who, quote, handles crises, who is out spinning this whole deal. This is amazing. And again, it turned out Seth Rich was in key IT areas, dealing with databases, dealing with DNC communications. And so here we have probably the prime hero, the leaker, an American patriot, giving the information to WikiLeaks, helping us get a view into CNN and the rest of the media, colluding with the Democrats, all this incredible corruption. He gets shot multiple times in the back. Nothing gets taken. The family hires a reputable PI, former police officer, who interfaces a parallel investigation, discovers all this stuff's going on, is told by the police, we've been told to stand down. This is unbelievable. And this happens, this starts coming out 30 minutes before on the news. They're in D.C. And so, boom, the Washington Post runs with this giant hoax that Trump told them about laptop bombs when that had been in the news in April and March in over 100 major publications. I mean, the brazenness, the Washington Post, knowing they'd get caught. Then McMaster runs out. We'll play that coming up, and gives a short press conference saying he was there, nothing classified was talked about. I'm telling you, I smell Machiavellian plot to pull McMaster out of the fire, to pull his bacon out of the fire, Roger Stone.
Alex, I now believe that the actual leak came from an Obama holdover at the NSA. I am going to presume that that was done with McMaster's knowledge, probably at his direction. He was the man with the greatest single motive here. On the other hand, technically, the President of the United States does have the authority to declassify information. And in this case, this was not exactly a secret, having been reported in all of the newspapers. So this is a classic example of manufactured fake news put out there in a timely fashion to blunt the impact of the Seth Rich breaking story. Typical Washington Post, which has long been almost a house organ for the Central Intelligence.
That's right. Hide one story that's real with a fake story. But how brazen are they when this is totally fake? The rest of mainstream media is still running with it's real when it's patently total baloney.
Last night I was told the editors at the New York Times were trying to deal with, they don't rely on the reporting of other newspapers. They have to rely on their own reporting. This is so obviously a manipulated news story for which, unfortunately, the Washington Post will pay no price. So
that's the thing. They're already complete liars. And here's a few articles for TV viewers and radio listeners. The Express. This is in April. ISIS bomb makers created laptop bombs to fool airport security checks. Boom. Here's another one. ISIS can make laptop bombs that evade airport security. How they learned about it? From the intelligence of the raids that Trump ordered. That was in the news. He's the president. They decided to release that info so the airports know he's the president. Exactly. He has power outside the other two branches. He can do what he wants. There's this idea to paralyze him, Roger, that he can't ever visit with the Russians. He can't ever meet with anybody because every time he does, they claim he's behind the scenes selling us out when he's doing the opposite.
Well, and in fact, the focus here is exactly the opposite of what it should be. The president should order the FBI to find the leakers. That's the crime. That's the only crime.
Absolutely. Well, how dare Trump say the sun was in the sky this morning? He's not allowed to say that. That's classified. All right, here is McMaster scurrying out yesterday. We don't want to make him a villain. It's just more and more it compounds. He does whatever he wants. Trump's very unhappy with him. He scurries out. This is ridiculous. I was there. There was no classified intel. And, of course, the NSA knows. Him talking about laptop bombs were released by him on purpose 2 months ago to show the intel that we got on the raid that killed the Navy SEAL. And so everybody knows, look out for laptops. Look out if they're not operating right. They could have a bomb in it. That's all over the news. It's like saying, ladies and gentlemen, Trump to the Russians leaked intel. We're really upset right now.
Yeah.
He leaked that in the 2016 Super Bowl champions were the New England Patriots. Can you believe that in 2017 he leaked the Super Bowl champions 2016?
It's so obviously manufactured.
But wait a minute, he leaked that they won the Super Bowl 4 months ago. This is treason, bro.
Yeah, it's like an Alice in Wonderland world there in Washington, where the newspaper of record in the nation's capital is really just talking points against Donald Trump.
You say it all the time. The Washington Post is worse than The Onion.
It really is, and it is less credible than The Onion.
All right, I'm going to plug here, but when we come back, we're going to get to all of the breakdown, your prediction, what happened last night. We got confronted. So much more coming up today with Roger Stone. We're talking about the next shoe to drop. They're clearly going after trying to destroy Trump. Why? What do we do to stop it? But first, as I mentioned it, here is the head of the National Security Advisor to the President, McMaster.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I just have a brief statement for the record. There's nothing that the president takes more seriously than the security of the American people. The story that came out tonight, as reported, is false. The president and the foreign minister reviewed a range of common threats to our two countries, including threats to civil aviation. At no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed. And the president did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. Two other senior officials who were present, including the Secretary of State, remember the meeting the same way and have said so. Their on-the-record account should outweigh.
Why the fuck does it keep on coming back?
And I was in the room. It didn't happen.
Oh, he's the savior of the president. Thank God he's there. They all know they're putting out this story that's totally and completely idiotic and made up. But they already said the Russians were planting bugs in the room. There were no other photographers because he was secretly in there, you know, performing fellatio on them. I mean, this is the biggest load of manure. But like you said, the Washington Post won't get in trouble now.
Well, and it's got two purposes. One, it helps save McMaster's job because he is clearly has his head on the chopping block. So now it's very difficult for the president to get rid of him. But it also helps the national narrative that they're putting out there to discredit the president, that he is, you know, that he's unstable. Yesterday, as you know, Alex, there was a video that alleges the president has Alzheimer's. I predict to you this is the next false narrative of the deep state and their allies in the mainstream media.
When he has super stamina and works 18 hours a day, we're going to play that clip coming up, actually, a little bit later in this hour. All right, Roger, we're going to break it all down in the next segment. A bunch of clips, your predictions, where this is all going straight ahead. Before we get any further, we have been developing this product for several years with Dr. Group. It's called Z-Shield because heavy metals, toxins in the environment are one of the biggest things facing our cells, facing our health. And we have a lot of great products like X2 that helps pull garbage out of the body, obviously purifying your water. That's very, very important. We have the Parasite Cleanse, a lot of other products at InfoWarsLife.com. But Z-Shield is rolling out today, toxic metal and chemical defense support. And it's extremely concentrated with a bunch of known ingredients like zeolites and shilajit, as well as organic lavage root, organic cleaver's herb, tamarind fruit, organic orange peel, organic cilantro, organic milk thistle, fulvic and humic acid to help you upload it better. And again, zeolites concentrate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I take a couple times a week. Some people take it more. It is just absolutely the common sense thing to do. It is the strongest product out there from our research. There are other similar products out there. There's a lot of other, systems in the herbs and in the supplements that do similar things. There's a lot of things medically out there you can look into, a lot of chelators and things. This is a well-known field, but this is a supplement. Still consult your physician before you use it, but these are well-known, documented things that have been really associated with detoxifying the body. The new product is available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com, and your purchase also supports this broadcast that is in the eye of the storm, taking on the New World Order toe-to-toe and having a big effect. We're hitting major damages on the globalists. We're causing them a lot of trouble, but we're taking enemy fire as well. So be sure and check out our newest product at InfoWarsLife.com. It's Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. We'll be back on the other side. Stay with us. Other points that need to be gotten into here. I mean, look, they hired this top Democrat crisis manager to, quote, take over statements for the family in Seth Rich's death. We have other folks, friends of D.C.-linked lawyer that was suing over it being stolen from Bernie. Sean Lucas freaked out by his death. We've got a bunch of other deaths going on. I mean, this smells.
Yeah, you have Alex, the deaths of Seth Rich, John Ash, and Sean Lucas in short order, all of them connected to the heist of the Democratic national nomination by Hillary with the inside mole assistance of Deputy Wasserman Schultz. So, and when you raise this publicly, these are 3 deaths, you're immediately smeared as a conspiracy theorist. one death, perhaps you'd say, all right, a coincidence. 3 deaths? Really? I don't think it's unreasonable to scratch your head and say, why are 3 insiders with intimate knowledge of the machinations of the DNC that stole this nomination from Hillary now pushing up daisies? That's entirely...
I'll tell you this, Assange has got giant eggs, because if you look at this, he knows it's hurting Hillary. She's degenerating under the stress daily. Whatever's in these emails has got her scared to death. You can see it. She looks like a cornered, hairless rat. They're totally freaking out. And Assange is just pushing and playing chicken with these folks. That was August 13th of 2016, about a month after the DNC. And, of course, Seth Rich had been executed. And now here we are a year later, or close to it, and you notice that it's all coming out. If you just joined us, we have a former NYPD detective as a private investigator hired by the family, saying he's talked to the police and others and the FBI. They've been told stand down at the local D.C. Police Department, and the word is on that laptop is Seth Rich in communication with Julian Assange. He was not robbed. He was executed, shot repeatedly in the back. Now, 30 minutes after that broke on local D.C. news, I got to hand it to them. They had a lot of courage. The spin machine went into high gear, and we're told then that Trump didn't just help plant listening devices with the Russians in the Oval Office. He didn't just, cause the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917 in a time machine. He didn't just not let any press in, which wasn't true either. No, ladies and gentlemen, none of that happened. But they don't care. The Washington Post comes out. They cheer their big lie. They cheer this record traffic they're reportedly getting. That's in the news. In their newsroom. Yay! We lied about him. We don't care. And it turns out Trump was talking about the raids that the Navy SEALs and others carried out that got them intel from the laptops that they were planning to put bombs on them. That they were planning, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, to use laptops as bombs. And it turns out that's been all over the news for a very, very, very long time. So think about that. It's been on the news since April and March of this year. But they come out and say Trump revealed highly classified information to Russian foreign minister and ambassador. And then the media is now debating whether it's real or not, when there's no debating that Trump talked to them about, hey, did you see the intel we got about, the laptop bombs? That helps Russia as well, doesn't it? Because Trump was proud of it back at the time. You want people to know about the new threat so something can be done about it. The president can declassify whatever he wants, but it was declassified back after it happened, talking about the Navy SEAL losing his life to get the valuable intel. This is incredible that they would lie so obviously, so ridiculously. There's NBC News. I guess they're traitors too. ISIS could plant bombs in planes, driving new rules, officials. And that, again, ladies and gentlemen, the date on that is April and March, both of those. You can go through and check that, hidden in laptop batteries. And, of course, that was the January 29th raid, and it came out in April. NBC News, ABC News, CBS News. That was in March, that particular article. I mean, this is a fact, Roger. The very same reporters at the New York Times and Washington Post that reported on the laptop bombs, I have it right here out of the Washington Post, are the same ones now attacking Trump. It's like the same ones that said Trump was wiretapped, then come out and say they never said it and Trump's crazy on CNN. This is insane. It's like saying you're not Roger Stone or I'm not Alex Jones in front of God and country. We're obviously liars if we said that, but we're not liars.
Now, let me make a couple points here. First of all, the whole Trump sells out the country narrative is an outright lie. This is a hit piece by an opposition rag, but it's not a blunder. And when the rest of the media picks it up, that makes it propaganda because they are like the birds jumping off the telephone wire. There's no equivalency between sharing information and divulging secrets. In fact, if anyone checks the law, there's no such thing as a classified information when it comes to the president. He has the absolute right to divulge anything. Obama did it routinely. So you can see that this is a manufactured story.
It's a hysteria.
It is. And frankly, the Russians are doing a better job at beating ISIS than we are. And if this helps defeat ISIS, where is the detriment to the United States? Where's the harm to the United States? How ironic that the Washington Post The story that blew the cover-up on the 1972 election is helping extend the cover-up into the truth about the 2016 election, i.e., using this story to block the news of the new revelations regarding the murder of Seth Rich.
And it's true, as bad as the New York Times is, they have some real journalists there. The Washington Post is leading the way in pure deception, and they were even quoted in articles last week at the National Press Dinner, White House Press Dinner that President Trump wasn't at, saying, we have a duty to bring him down. We're going to bring him down. And then they all decide to lie. There's even been articles in the news, one was in the New York Times, saying it's time to go ahead and just lie because it's the right thing to do. I don't get it. This is, let me ask you this, Roger. Where does this go next? How does this tie into the FBI director? How does this tie into the future of this country? Because these are such crazed people where they just use anonymous sources that then put out patent disinfo that the second I heard he divulged the Yemen raid about ISIS plans to use laptops for bombs, to put bombs inside laptops, I instantly knew the whole story, instantly knew it was a lie, and which that shows they knew it's all a lie, and they think we're that stupid. What planet, what Alice in Wonderland, as you said, rabbit hole did I just fall down and break my ass?
Look, we know that the Obama plants in the various intelligence agencies are withholding critical information from the president. It's not because he lacks the clearance or isn't entitled to it. It's because they are treasonous vipers who are looking for the most opportune moment to strike. The FBI director now becomes crucial for several reasons. One, the FBI must lead the investigation into the murder of Seth Rich. The president has that authority. Secondarily, the FBI needs to find the leakers of this information. Who in the NSA? Which Obama holdover?
And let's be clear, they use the national security to put out lies. Because it's not even real leaks, it's false leaks.
The most troubling thing that I have seen is the list of would-be FBI directors. To a man and woman, they are establishment insiders.
And I'm told the president doesn't like this list.
No, I have my sources tell me that the president likes the idea of former New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, someone that he knows personally. The president doesn't know or have confidence in any.
Why did Gowdy say that he's not the right man for the job?
That was disappointing because
I think it means he can't help but just totally go after the Democrats.
Well, frankly, we need Gowdy in the faux Russian collusion dust.
And by the way, he and Nunes have seen all the intel. It's total bull. In fact, it's the opposite. The Trump's all being spied on, and the true story is, again, illegal spying. Oh, Scalia, before he died, came out and said, I'm being spied on by Obama, and they're blackmailing people, which we already knew.
Well, look, this is not surprising. They spied on James Rosen, the Fox reporter who covers the White House. They wiretapped him illegally. That is a much bigger crime than Watergate. How do journalists feel about the wiretapping of a journalist? It is incredible that we're looking at an FBI. There are people on this list who denied that the president was surveilled when we know now definitively that that is not the case.
And we knew from the very same New York Times reporters that said that didn't happen a month later, they reported it did. And then they say it's fake news. InfoWars says we had a cover that said wiretap, and we have the physical newspaper.
Yes, we
covered it, you and I, on the 20th. We covered it live in D.C. because you were in there.
Adding insult to injury, this morning, Congressman Eric Swalwell from California was on with Morning Joe. Now, Joe Scarborough may be upset with me because on this show, I revealed that he had a text relationship with Jared Kushner, and that Kushner was lagging negative stories about Steve Bannon that Scarborough was delightfully putting out. I have confirmed that on both ends of the transmission. So they put Swalwell on this morning to repeat yet again the lie that Roger Stone knew in advance about the release of information regarding Hillary Clinton. This is very much like this story, Alex. Yeah, I knew it. WikiLeaks posted it on their Twitter feed on July 31st.
It's the same crap. It's the same crap.
So I am anxious to confront Mr. Swalwell. This guy is a mannequin he's a one-trick pony, and that trick seems to be lying about me over and over again. I'm still hopeful, Alex, that I will be allowed to testify.
Let me just raise this. How bombshell is it that you've got a respected former NYPD detective who's a investigator hired by the family. He says, yeah, I've talked to the police. They've been told to stand down. Yes, he was in contact with Assange. We have Assange basically in a bunch of clips saying, we never give up sources, but he probably could have been our source. We're just going to stop right there. Well, I think Assange needs to come out now for his safety, everybody's. It's not giving up a source if the person's been killed and shot in the back. I understand technically he can say we never give it up, but that becomes almost like Asperger's disorder or something, where someone just refuses to go with the actual spirit of the law, the spirit of the agreement. I mean, if I was a source for a big story and then I get killed, please release that I was the source. Obviously, you are released from your agreement not to release the source if the source is a hero killed in the service to the Republic and not a Russian, you notice.
Well, and also, why has the New York Times never reported that the British diplomat Craig Murray has said repeatedly
that he's met with the U.S. intelligence agency leaker and that it is not a Russian.
And he also went so far as to imply that it was Seth Rich, who he met in a parking lot near American University.
Yes.
So we believe that some of these documents...
Seth Rich was a good Democrat that read all this evil about, let's keep people poor, in the dark, let's have race war, let's steal more Haitian money, hey, we got kids ready for you in the hot tub.
No, the most important thing Seth Rich knew was that they stopped the vote count in Iowa.
They stole it from Sanders.
If they had not stopped the vote count, Bernie Sanders would have won the Iowa caucuses and Hillary Clinton would have been toast as far as
they stopped. They said the vote the day before California didn't count, and that donors had met with Hillary and they decided it was her.
So it is. This is a guy who acted on the basis of conscience, who saw the Democratic Party that he believed in being hijacked by the Clintons and Deborah Wasserman Schultz. Incidentally, a number of local Republicans in Fort Lauderdale are urging me to challenge Deborah Wasserman Schultz. I'm not really candidate material, but if it serves the purpose of exposing her and her role in undermining the progressives in the party.
Yeah, if you were the weapon to just expose her and they get a patriot elected, that'd be great.
I would have to think about it.
Maybe just win for real, be the kamikaze.
Well, it's a terrible district. It was kind of custom drawn for her. She is a terror. She's a horrific person. I might just think about it.
All right, let's talk about what's coming up a little bit in the next hour. Then we're going to go tape a big special piece for the Nightly News this evening. We appreciate Roger being here. We're working so hard. We appreciate all you and your support. But let's go over some more of these clips. In fact, since we mentioned Assange, Julian Assange on Seth Rich. Here's just one of the many places, like Hannity, you name it, where he basically said, look, I don't want to say he's our source, but he very well could be the source. And the word is, Seth Rich was the source, and now you have a detective saying that, and people dying, and the family that hired him now backing off. Because let me tell you, I've talked to people that met with the widow of folks that, Michael Hastings, people whose cars blow up as they drive down the road. And at first, they're at the funeral saying, oh, yeah, they killed him. I'm going to go public. Or, there was foul play. They're going to pay. And then she goes on Piers Morgan and says, oh, no, it was no big deal. Totally natural causes. And she was a top person as a support aide on the National Security Council. So from the intel we've got, she's a higher-level spook. So was he. He found out stuff so bad, he had a conscience. Michael Hastings, he went public, and then his car blew up and shot the engine 100 yards down the road, something that's impossible unless there's a bomb. And he called people that I know and said, I'm being chased. They're trying to kill me. It's Homeland Security. Obama has a special unit of hitmen. Get the data out. But the data didn't get out. So that's what happens with these families. And I think that may have happened here. We'll get Roger's take on that. But here's Julian Assange.
In the American political lexicon, there's such a thing as the October surprise. The stuff that you're sitting on, is an October surprise in there? Do you even know what you're sitting on?
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Our whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material and often very significant risks. As a 27-year-old works for the DNC, who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources are.
But why make the suggestion about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington?
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States. and that our sources are, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well,
hey, sorry about that, Cups, man.
Suggested that we are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
All right, and then we have Podesta emails in WikiLeaks where he says, I'd like to make an example of these leakers. It's on Paul Watson's article today on InfoWars. Whether they're guilty or not, I don't even care. Let's just start making examples now, and then you see what happens to Rich. But we always play that clip, and then that's okay. But I saw it on Hannity, or one of the clips where he said, I'm saying he could be our source. Assange said he could be our source.
He offered a $25,000 reward. Why would you offer a reward for someone who was not your source?
But now we have the detective saying the police said there's a cover-up.
The point is they're asking us to ignore logic. In other words, the guy who's the head of the department from whom the documents leak is murdered, and we're supposed to expect that there's nothing suspicious about that.
That's right. There's Podesta. I'm definitely for making an example of suspected leaker, whether or not we have any real basis for it. That's right. Just make an example, even if he's not the one. All right. We got some big news here. We're going to break down here in just a moment. We have a new product. This is the 36th product we have developed in the last 4.5 years for InfoWarsLife.com. It's Z-Shield. Concentrated zeolites, shilajit, and a bunch of other key herbs to a very thick, powerful oil. This isn't, filler with alcohol. This is just pure oils and pure compounds from Mother Nature and some acids that help uptake. It's amazing for heavy metal and toxin removal out of the body. This is something similar to what they have in, clinics in Europe. But research it for yourself. The organic lavage root, organic cleavers, tamarind fruit, organic orange peel, organic cilantro, organic milk thistle seed, fulvic and humic acid, shilajit and zeolite concentrates. The new product, Z-Shield, available at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. By the way, we're selling, because they're popular again, at cost, Donald Trump's My President, navy blue, election-style shirts to trigger folks and to spread the word and to meet like-minded people and to stand for these bullies. When these 3 new shirts are sold out, they're limited edition, that's it. We had the Trump is My President red shirt that was so popular. That's gone. That's history. We now have the navy blue with Infowars.com on the shoulder. Trump pins 2020. We have Trump is My President. We have 3 different shirts, and when they're gone, they're gone. They're $4.95. That is cost at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And absolutely a part of history and support the InfoWar. Really, it's supporting free speech because this is a lost leader.
These T-shirts are going to end up in the Smithsonian Institute. There's no doubt about it. Just like the iconic Clinton rape T-shirt, these are going to be collector's items. Years from now, you will have this to pass on to your grandchildren and say, you were in the revolution.
Whether we won or lost. Now, I want to bring that up a little bit in the next hour. How do we win? What's the next shoe to drop? Clearly, we're in a civil war already, an information war. They're discredited, but they're so hubris-filled they don't care. You've got this weird club that these guys are in that you're going to be talking about Brennan and others and McMaster. But before we go there, you've got the Washington Post and others saying in the news at the White House Correspondents' Dinner without the president there, our job is to destroy the president and bring him down. We're going to do it. We don't care. And then they put out a fake story that he's got putting listening devices in, and that's not true. So then he's leaking classified info, and that's not true. It's laptop info that's been in the news for months that Trump's allowed to release. He's the president. All this is going on. They're chomping at the bit. You've got Schumer saying, President better watch it. We got 6 ways to Sunday the intelligence community to get back at you. Yeah, we see. You're the hijackers. You're the foreign globalists. You're the people trying to bring our country down, telling us our American president is the problem. Here's Chucky Schumer. So what do we do about these traitors? Here's Schumer.
On the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think?
So what does Trump do about the flying monkeys?
That was an admission that the intelligence agencies are not under civilian control. I mean,
they're rogue flying monkeys.
Chuck just kind of in this smarmy kind of way, just spit it right out there.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of scum threatening us. They believe they own us. They want our guns. They want our kids. They're going to teach our 5-year-olds, how to give blowjobs. That's what, they want to destroy the country. What do we do with a bunch of brazen, crazy megalomaniacs like Chucky Schumer, a flying monkey, that came flying out of Barack Obama's butt?
First of all, you need a reinvigorated, non-political FBI that can ferret out actual crimes, including these leaks. That's why the selection of the FBI director is going to be a crucial question. The other thing, Alex, that is related to this, the upcoming release of the John F. Kennedy assassination document.
That's an example. The president has his own branch of government. And they've got him where he won't even meet with Putin. Sorry. But shouldn't he just meet with Putin and call this out now?
Look,
shouldn't Putin just fly here right now?
Putin, look, Trump wants peace with Russia. Peace is accomplished through increased trust. Trust is accomplished through cooperation.
And they won't let us cooperate. Here's the deal. The globalists are the enemy. They're the ones screwing us over, not the Russians. The enemy is Michael Moore, Chucky Schumer, and all the other flying monkeys. Flying monkey control freaks. We'll be right back, Roger. 70 seconds with Roger Stone, Stone Zone, StoneColdTruth.com. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. I'm Alex Jones, your host. Here is, months ago, Chucky Schumer threatening President-elect Donald Trump. You better do whatever we say, buddy, or we'll smack you upside the head. Because without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have the made-up Russian narrative. And now the Washington Post, they're hiding devices. I mean, I'm expecting they're going to claim that Trump's actually, wearing a Russian bug, down his throat or something. That's all made-up baloney. And they never get in trouble. There's no consequences to any of this lying. Here's Chucky Schumer.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
I'll get you.
So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were moved?
I don't know, but I don't know.
Ask Jack Kennedy what they would do.
They are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking.
We need
Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Roger, I want to be clear.
Discovered what, Senator? Do you have some proof of Russian hacking so you could produce it if you have some?
Why is Schumer not in Hollywood? He would be the ultimate psychopath, villain, child molester, kidnapper in Hollywood. I'm not saying he's a child molester. I'm not saying he's a kidnapper.
But he could play one.
He literally comes off as like, he could play. He could go back to the 1930s Wizard of Oz. I'll get you and your little dog. I'll get your Constitution, my pretty. No, go get them all. Take their children, destroy their economy, and get their guns. And that little president thinks he'll show them the way. Go to the Emerald City and burn it all down. Chucky Schumer, I'm so scared of you, Chucky.
That's pretty good. Chuck Schumer is one of the most odious individuals in the world. He has an inherent interest in knowing who the U.S. attorney is for New York, for the New York district.
We have an elite that just wants to piss on America because we're the alpha. Why don't the elite just get out of the way and end this? We can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
Chuck Schumer, the most dangerous place in Washington, Alex, is between Chuck Schumer and a television camera. I want to raise this question, though. Why is it that General Mattis, General McMaster, John Brennan, formerly of the CIA, Michael Hayden, former of the CIA, and James Clapper, why do these guys all have shaved heads?
Because that's part of being a leather daddy.
Is it some secret club or something that they're in? I mean, it is just, it defies, the odds of coincidence that every one of these guys have the same kind of look. There it is. Extraordinary. By the way, his smirk at the end of this kind of gives the whole thing away.
He looks like he could suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
Look at the way he smirks when it's over, thinking, wow, we pulled this off. Now my job might be safe for another couple weeks.
Sorry.
I mean, look, he is
Look at that.
Temperamentally not fit for this job, sadly.
I got to do that a little bit too much.
Well, the choice is, I mean, again,
these things must be done delicately.
The president needs to clean house.
Look at this guy.
I mean, he needs to clean house.
You know, possums like to climb into like dead animals on the side of the road.
You know, the left is having a spasm. They're unhinged. They're acting like the president handed Putin the nuclear codes. I mean,
well, they're acting like Putin's, because they're the foreign globalists selling the country out, so they have to just then pick Russia and claim, oh, it's a foreign power, because they're the globalist foreign power, and Trump's kicking out the multinational pieces of garbage.
This is why I think the Russian collusion issue is going to be critical. This is how you break the back of both the mainstream media that has run with this and the intelligence services which have manufactured it. They have nothing. They have
all right, I
zero.
agree. I want to come back and ask you the next shoe to drop, because you told me last night, and you said you talk about it on there. I mean, I think there's a good chance they'll bring Trump down. The problem is then that'll cause a civil war. These people are so crazy. They're so full of chutzpah, bravado, false confidence that, I mean, I know they all got Mr. Clean shave. I'm not against people that have shaved heads, but there's a little something going on there. I guess because they put their heads before David Rockefeller died, like in his butt or something. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop. I'm out of control. I'm obviously trying to feed the trolls right now. Roger Stone's with us, another segment that he's going to tape, a powerful piece, which is going to be Roger Stone Unchained. Just true flow, not an interviewer, but Roger in there absolutely annihilating the globalists. I'm Alex Jones, your host. I'm with the anti-villain Roger Stone over here. That's why they call him a villain, because of the fake news. We've got so much to break down here today. Coming up after Roger leaves us, Globalist Mag claims American Revolution was a mistake. That's a close quote. I saw the Boston Globe a few years ago actually had a debate they hosted about getting rid of the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and that it was wrong to secede from England. They narrowly voted, though, in the little contest they had to stay in America. So they're patriots, I guess. You just barely want to stay in America. But here it is. We could have been Canada. Was the American Revolution such a good idea? This is what we get from the New Yorker magazine that was saying that they're organizing the overthrow of Trump in Congress bipartisanly. And so because America, it has George Washington standing on top of a pile of chains and skulls, literally saying we're the devil. They're the ones claiming Trump's the enemy because he loves America. They're the anti-Americans, and they project who they are onto us. I just can't handle it anymore.
And the coming narrative for the globalists and the two-party duopoly, the political establishment, is Donald Trump is insane. It's not that he's crazy, it's that he has Alzheimer's, and it's in the advanced stages. This is nonsense. This is a lie, but mark my words, this is the new meme of the far left. This is the new meme of those who would essentially just depose him and remove him from power under the 25th Amendment.
Every time I've talked to Trump, he brings up something I said on the show or the last thing we talked about a month before. And it's just like, what are you even doing calling up, congratulating me that I got remarried? How'd you even know this? And the media around like, oh, Alex doesn't want Donald Trump. He doesn't want Trump on his show. No, it's the opposite. He's too important. He's too busy. I was like, sir, don't worry about it. He said he'd come on in a few weeks. I said, don't worry about it, sir. And then they turned that into, I don't want Trump, and I backslapped him. Again, the opposite of reality.
He has a phenomenal memory. I've known him for 40 years. I see no evidence whatsoever that he is not as sharp as he has.
But Nancy Pelosi thinks Bush is still in office in 3 different interviews, and Maxine Waters
thinks Ukraine is part of Russia. So
worse than that. Well, it actually is. At least the east of it. It's worse. She thinks Putin invaded Korea.
That's correct. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting. Go ahead.
No, this is going to be a major drive by the left, Alex. They are going to try to now go for broke. Trump is insane, and he has to be removed.
By the way, I forgot to tell them, what's the name of the video? We'll pull it up. The one where they're claiming is he's listening to somebody that he has Alzheimer's. What's the name of the video? Trump Signs of Alzheimer's, I think?
Yes, it is out yesterday.
So you guys pull it up. We'll play it in the background. Go ahead. Sorry.
Now, this is going to be a major thrust. For those who don't know how the 25th Amendment works, if a majority of the Trump cabinet and the vice president determine that the president does not have the mental capacity to carry out the duties of the job, he's removed. Now, if he seeks to fight it, it goes to the U.S. House of Representatives for a vote, where Paul Ryan would stab him right in the
by the way, Paul Ryan came out yesterday and said he wants answers and backed it up that Trump's a Russian agent. I am so sick of this Russian stuff. We're restoring the republic. We put $3 trillion in the stock market. You did, listeners. $300 billion in new jobs, securing the borders, returning the republic, rebuilding the military, cutting the UN funding, getting a conservative to the Supreme Court. If that's Russian, then I want to be under Russian rule. But it's not. It's people saying we don't want to be America, merge with world government, become socialist. Oh, but Trump's anti-American. No, they're anti-American. They're the plague. Sorry.
In the 1950s, they accused us, conservatives, of being red baiting, of demagoguery, and
it was true. They were horrible anti-American filth, beavering away like termites.
But now it's a complete role reversal. Now,
but they weren't Russians; they were commies.
Exactly. And anyone who isn't for war over Syria with the Russians is now a Russian agent, a traitor to the United States.
The liberal New York garbage system took over Russia and turned it into that and has been trying to do us the whole time. It wasn't the Russians. The globalists captured Russia and used it as a tool to run around murdering everybody. Can't we see? And they want full control of this country.
You saw the left whining about the blacklist of the 1930s and again in the 50s forever. Now their blacklist that includes people like Alex Jones and other patriots.
It's a real blacklist.
It's a blacklist, which is based on circumventing the First Amendment and a free press in this
Let's just tell Soros, Brock, and all of them, we're beating you. You'll never defeat America. You'll never mount our head on the wall. Roger, join me. America will defeat you. Join me in this. Come on, Roger.
All right.
There you go.
David Brock, this is just for you.
Yeah.
We're having a good time here today.
You'll never defeat America. Sorry.
But this idea that the American Revolution...
No, you will. Sorry.
The idea that the American Revolution was a mistake, Alex, this is so elitist.
This red-blooded freedom we got, everybody wants, that's not a mistake. You're a mistake.
The highest standard of living.
Best part of you ran down the ass crack of your mother, Brock. Sorry, go ahead.
Look.
All right, I'm out of control. I apologize to Christian stations. I'm going to control myself because this country is in total war, and I'm sick of it. Go ahead.
Look, nobody's taken more of the brunt of this than I have. Look, I cannot wait to confront that preening, whining, pain in the ass Adam Schiff. This guy is the worst stiff I've ever seen. He makes George Bush look like a party animal. I mean, if you watch the guy, he is oozing insincerity. And in March, he said that he had seen conclusive evidence of Russian hacking, a Russian interference in the election. And then in April, he said to Real Clear Politics, he had seen no evidence of Russian collusion.
I saw conclusive.
What is it?
I saw conclusive proof that
this guy's so full of Schiff, his eyes are brown.
I was about to say, he is full of Schiff.
Indeed.
You have done well, Stone. Why do I feel so fired up right now?
Look, I have to assume the Democrats are afraid to face me. They keep saying they want me to testify, but there's no invitation. And I've made it clear I don't need a subpoena. Alex doesn't need a subpoena. They've accused him of being a Russian agent. When do we get our day in the court of public?
Can you imagine, like, the Russians trying to tell me what to do?
Well, or that they're financing all of these bots when it's David Brock and the Soros flying monkeys who have the bots out spewing hate, spewing dissension, spewing revolution against the American government and the U.S. Constitution. That's where we are.
I totally agree with you. Here's a breakdown of us last night. McMaster exposed as White House leaker. Here's a clip from our live feed about an hour after it came out with Roger and I. Here it is. So now they come out, and today, the Washington Post, and say anonymous source. They didn't say an anonymous source, says that Donald Trump's a good president or something. It's an anonymous source. He's in the meeting, and he starts giving him secrets about Al-Qaeda and ISIS in Syria. First off, we've been working with the Russians for 4 or 5 years, 3 years intensely to take out ISIS and Al-Qaeda. That's on the news. Secondarily, Trump's destroying them. It's Obama and Hillary that helped empower them and put them in charge. Trump's cleaning that up. So the claim that he's helping ISIS and Al-Qaeda is just horse manure. Everybody knows that. He's the one that exposed them, selling the oil, selling the organs. Roger's about to break this down. So I just had the instinct. I said, there's only 3 Americans in the room. And they're saying we won't say who else was in the room except for the 2 Russians. There's 5 people in the room, including the president. Who has the history of doing it? We've been fingering McMaster is even worse.
Who has the motive?
Who has the motive? He's about to be removed. McMaster's about to be removed. So now he's the savior from his own leak to the Washington Post that's incredibly corrupt with Jeff Bezos and run by deep state. He comes out. He then says, oh, the president didn't do this. I was there. It's made up. this is perfect to make him look good to the president, but I think Trump will see through it. I made phone calls to high-level folks. They said, that's the thinking right now. Then I met Roger about an hour ago for dinner. He said, I'm on the phone with the New York Times, other sources. He went and made the calls, came back, and said that is what the thinking is right now. In fact, they know where the leak came from as an agency. So we've honed it down. Roger Stone's about to give you the exclusive. Did McMaster leak to then pose him as the savior so that Trump won't fire him? Roger Stone.
Alex Jones is essentially correct. First of all, it's important the American people know that this is completely false. Donald Trump did not divulge classified information to the Russians. If he spoke about the efforts by ISIS to use personal computers as bombs and get them onto airplanes, there would nothing be inappropriate about that. You can read about that in the newspapers.
6 months ago.
We know that the leak came out of NSA, and by process of elimination and looking at everyone who was in the room, there's only one man who has a motive. This is designed to make Mr. McMaster, General McMaster, indispensable and to stop the effort to remove him from his current job, kick him over to the Pentagon, and give him the fourth star. Interesting enough, the military types don't want him at the Pentagon. I think the president, in his wisdom, will see through this, and it's time to send Mr. McMaster, General McMaster, packing.
All right, and that's just part of it. We should recap here, Roger, and then come back to one more segment, and Dr. Group's coming in here about what happened. This laptop with bombs inside of it that was already in the news. This is totally made up. For me, it's just crazy that they would be this brazen.
Well, but again, this couldn't have been possible if there wasn't a leak from the room. The president cannot get confidentiality out of his own government. He had the authority to tell the Russians this. He didn't divulge anything harmful to the United States. He is trying to foster a better relationship with the Russians, which is what peace is about. The left is supposed to believe in peace, but actually they're the ones who believe in war. And because people that the president has chosen are disserving him, the focus is completely wrong. The focus should not be on what the president did. The focus should be on who leaked this so they can be fired and prosecuted.
That's right. Roger, I want to come back and talk about the next shoes to drop, the new attacks they've got planned. How do you think we defeat them straight ahead? But they're all over the news saying, end America, join with Canada, join the world government, George Washington's bad. New Yorker magazine saying this now. These people literally hate America. They know we love America, so they use all this Trump's anti-America, hoping we get on some bandwagon. As they try to organize a coup against the president, it shows how desperate they are. We'll be right back, and we'll take your phone calls as well. Stay with us. But I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. You know, they have that line in The Hobbit where he says, or this is the Lord of the Rings, he says, you look foul, but you feel fair, whereas he looks fair, but feels foul. You got to worry about people that don't say they got villain in them, but say they're these little angels. They walk like an angel, they talk like an angel, but I got wise. They're devils in disguise. Chucky Schumer, Obama, they're all arrogant. They're all decided to wage war against the president, America. They hate this country. In closing, Roger Stone, before Dr. Grip comes in, thanks for coming to town. It's been amazing. I know you're going back tonight. How do we defeat this? How do we save this president? He's not going to be perfect. And if we abandon him, then the globalists could take him down even easier. So for me, it's a no-brainer. This guy's under attack because he's so real. And if we're idiots and don't back him to the hilt, then we deserve what we get.
This is a question of the president finding the levers of power. He has the power to control the leaks. He has the power to change the direction of the federal government. He has the power to change the direction of the federal judiciary.
But they're in mass mutiny.
But it's just a question of him finding the levers of power. Unfortunately, he has chosen a White House staff that doesn't have a clue, not a clue. And until he can get control of his own government and oust the Obama holdover appointees who are leaking like a sieve.
And isn't that paradoxical, though? He's doing a great job on his policies, but then he's doing horrible in who he brought in. Why?
Well, the people who are in charge of carrying out those policies essentially refused to do so because they were appointed by Barack Obama. Because no one in the Trump entourage knew that you had to have a plan in place immediately to position and place the assistant secretaries. You couldn't expect Trump to know this. He is not a veteran Washington politician.
Well, I study it. I know that.
It's a shame he didn't choose a chief of staff who knew it, because this is the logjam. This is why we're having the leaks, because we don't have a Trump administration. We still have the Obama administration.
We need to start prosecuting those deputy secretaries.
Well, what we really need to do, if we're going to prosecute, if we want to send a signal to the base, if you want to send a signal to the American people...
Lock her up.
Yes, absolutely. They need to impanel a grand jury and bring Bill and Hillary and Chelsea...
If anybody ever needed to go to prison from politics, it's that sickening, ugly, twisted, arrogant, entitled couple.
Indeed. And, if you go to chargehillaryclinton.com, if you want to sign the petition that we're going to send to the president, telling him to order the attorney general to impanel this grand jury and do what the president pledged to do in the campaign.
And by the way, that is a good-looking pinstripe suit.
Why, thank you very much.
And, of course, you pointed out, I should for them, the media's been saying you dress like the Riddler. He has patches on, little question marks. That's the Joker, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I dress like the Joker, not the Riddler. How insulting. That's really insulting.
Well, let's just be honest. What is my style? Kind of German farmhand. This is just some guy going to Baptist church on Sunday.
This is a pure Austin. You got the Austin, Texas thing going on.
I got a 20-inch neck, so you got a big neck too. It's hard to get the tie around the neck.
Hey, you know what works for me would not necessarily work for you. If you dress like this, you'd look ridiculous.
That's Joker purple, though.
It is. That's why I wore it.
So I'm guessing. I know you've read the article. It said you're the Riddler.
When I was at the Nixon Library commencement dinner, I sat next to Cesar Romero, and I couldn't think of anything to say. So I said to him, Mr. Romero, you are the greatest Joker of all time. I mean, Jack Nicholson, he was terrible. These other guys, they couldn't hold a candle to you. And he said, son, people tell me that every single day. He was a great man, Cesar Romero, a conservative Republican, a true believing patriot, and one of the biggest movie stars of the 1930s.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to come back and get into the waterfront here. It's just, for me, I got really angry earlier, then I got in a good mood. Tends to go that way. It's all over the news that he talked about the laptop bombs. That was all over the news. He's the president. He's allowed to do that. He released it 2 months ago when he was allowed to. When they were pointing out, oh, you got this Navy SEAL killed, you're this horrible traitor. No, we got intel on their next plans, on their bomb-making factories. And now it's been confirmed that they've been trying to do that. It's in ISIS training videos. It's in ISIS training videos. It's in hundreds of news articles. He talks about it with the Russians, and he's a traitor. The Washington Post should get in big trouble with some cultural agency. They should pay for what they've done.
There he is, Cesar Romero.
I mean, seriously, it's just the arrogance.
Well, but in this particular case, the president was already angry at the Washington Post. Now I guarantee you he is furious. They were the worst in the election in terms of...
The Washington Post, I don't mean to be gross, but they're like monkeys at the zoo that just grab stuff and throw it. I mean, they are just making stuff up. Roger Stone, StoneColdTruth.com, Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Stay with us. I got a PJW piece coming up at the start of this segment. Stay with us.
Nazi. And look at these courageous anti-fascists. What's his sign say? Must be something horrible, right? A swastika? Gas the Jews? Heil Hitler? The right to openly discuss ideas must be defended. All right, turns out you guys are behaving like actual Nazis. Yeah, little tip, fellas. The good guys don't normally wear black masks covering their faces.
Have you noticed that our caps have actually got little pictures of skulls on them?
I don't...
Hands. Are we the baddies?
I'm still here. I'm still here and I'm still standing up for open discussion.
Why are you defending it? No Nazis! No Nazis! Anyone but! You're for anyone but! No platform for racism, no platform for homophobia. This is all Barack. Little fascist! Yeah, fascist!
Yeah, little history lesson, love. Those Nazis that you hate so much. Funny coincidence, because it turns out they were into using intimidation to shut down free speech. Exactly like you're doing to this guy.
Nazi! Nazi! Nazi!
I believe in open discussion.
No platform for white supremacy. No platform for white supremacy. Look at you, white man.
Look at you, white man. white male! We try to intimidate people out of speaking based on their skin colour because we're anti-racists.
A platform for hate.
May I respond?
No, I'm not interested.
I believe in open
I don't care what you believe. I believe in Nazis.
I don't care what you believe. I'm just going to keep repeating the word Nazi over and over again because I'm functionally retarded and don't have an actual argument.
Nazi. Everyone just cover him. Just cover him.
Everyone just cover him, then we won't have to collectively activate our 6 brain cells to have an actual discussion. Hey, where the hell did Jeremy Corbyn come from?
You better go. You better go. You better
You're not welcome here.
You're not welcome here. We're tolerant progressives.
You're not welcome here.
They are socially conscious citizens and are provoked by the loathsome presence of an unmutual.
They are sheep.
I mean, we literally employ the tactics of actual fascists, but we're so dumb that if we feign enough righteous indignation, we can delude ourselves into thinking we have the moral high ground.
You are not welcome here. Go away. Go away. Excuse me. Excuse me. Go away. Excuse me.
Go away.
Go away. Go away. Go away.
Nazi scum off our street. Nazi scum off our street. Nazi scum off our street.
Nazi scum off our streets! Nazi scum off our streets! Yeah, if that actually happened, the guy with the sign would be the only person left on the frigging street because you're the actual Nazis.
Nazi.
Are we the baddies?
Now, if you're a radio listener, and we'll put the YouTube video up on screen so I can tell radio listeners how they can find it, and you just heard that. It's powerful, but not as powerful as actually seeing it. You've got a polite, nice man standing on a street in London, close to Downing Street, where people like to protest, holding up a sign saying that we should support the right of free speech. And people come over and actually start assaulting him, screaming, Nazi scum, no, we don't allow free speech. And I've been close to 10 Downing Street, also, though, by Parliament. The left doesn't let you protest or demonstrate or even hold up newspaper articles. They run things. They're the god. They're the boss. And now they're not the left. These are like brainwashed people that are delusional and believe they're the savior. They're the good guys. And then at the end, they actually start assaulting him and grab his sign away, and the police are all around and allow it. And I have stacks of news articles where Muslims in the UK sexually assault women, and the police covered it up. In some cases, little girls by the thousands per town, it's come out. And then they just say, none of this is happening. It doesn't exist. Muslims never rape anybody. Muslims never kill anybody. Muslims never run over anybody. They never shoot anybody. And it's so frustrating that this is the group
Damn
we're
it, that
supposed
was
to talk
close.
about. Now, Dr.
We
Group,
did good.
my good buddy, one of the top formulators
We did good.
forceline.com,
Damn it.
is with us to announce the big launch of an amazing new product today that will also intersperse with the news here, and how much heavy metals there are, how many toxins out there, and things that are known to help detoxify the body. But we're going to cover the waterfront here politically, what's happening with Trump. The new product is Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical support defense. And we're going to talk about what Shilajit does, what the concentrated zeolites do, what some of these other herbs and compounds do, and acids that are in it along with it, as we can fight back and also support the operation, but fight back in your own life. And he's got a whole stack of articles about the toxicity and what's happening. We're going to be discussing that for a few minutes here and then plunging back into news. But then I look at stories here. We could have been Canada. Why the American Revolution might have been a bad idea. And so the people claiming Trump's an enemy, patriots are an enemy, people that want sovereignty are enemies, we're the foreign agents because we want a country, when they're the foreign globalist agents that are dissolving the nation states as we know it. And now you have this whole fake controversy, just join us with Trump, where the news is still going along like, is it real? Isn't it real? McMaster says it's not real. They had the Yemen raid back on the 29th of January of this year, 5 months ago, and they got the bomb maker data. They're trying to disguise bombs and batteries of laptops, plastic explosives, and then you tell the public that so they know about the threat. The president can declassify what he wants. That was months ago. it came out in April and March. They got the intel in late January. And then they just lie and say he's with the Russians. He gave them secret documents because he just discussed the threat with them, which has been all over the news. We've reached a new level, Dr. Group. What do you make of all this?
It's just lies, 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 and more lies. And it seems like, right now, we've talked like years ago about all the attacks, and what I look at is the attack.
Here we are, Tuesday, already the 16th day of May 2017, and say, buddy, or we'll smack you upside the head. Because without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have the made-up Russian narrative. And now the Washington Post, he's hiding. They're hiding devices. I mean, I'm expecting they're going to claim that Trump's actually, wearing a Russian bug, down his throat or something. That's all made up baloney. And they never get in trouble. There's no consequences to any of this lying. Here's Chucky Schumer.
You take on the...
Senator, do you have some proof of Russian hacking so you could produce it if you have some?
Why is Schumer not in Hollywood? He would be the ultimate psychopath, villain, child molester, kidnapper in Hollywood. I'm not saying he's a child molester. I'm not saying he's a kidnapper.
But he could play one.
He literally comes off as like, he could play. He could go back to the 1930s Wizard of Oz. I'll get you and your little dog. I'll get your Constitution, my pretty. No, go get them all. Take their children, destroy their economy, and get their guns. And that little president thinks he'll show them the way. Trillion in new jobs. $3 trillion in the stock market. $300 billion in new jobs. 500,000 new jobs already. Aluminum, steel, investigations into illegals voting and dead people voting, people voting in their names, cutting the UN funding by half, 43% down on the illegals coming across the border, according to ICE. I mean, it goes on and on and on, killing TPP. And that's why the special interests and the elites are so mad at Trump. The first 70 days, he was pretty much 100% on. Then the last, 50 or so, he started going a little bit sideways, and now he's learned the system isn't compromising. They take that as weakness. So I got word from the White House over the weekend, and I told you this. The gloves are coming off. Trump is going to get really aggressive now. He's not going to just roll over like other people that they've basically ganged up on, like a pack of hyenas on a lion. Trump is going to go after these people now because they are calling for his death. They're calling for his overthrow. They're calling for our overthrow. They're calling for me to be shut down. They're all over the news saying it's a war. They mean business, ladies and gentlemen. And so all of us have to go into high gear now to defend this republic. Now, I know Pachenik has been supportive of Trump, pointed out that a lot of the patriots and intelligence agencies actually helped Trump get in, but they didn't vote to get neocons in, and he has reined in McMaster and others. So he had been on a few weeks. We'll find out what his latest intel is on this. If he disagrees with Trump, he'll tell us. We don't do these interviews, and Pachenik doesn't have to agree with me. I don't actually know his view on this up to the minute. I just know this. Who can deny the establishment is not after Trump? Who can deny that Keith Olbermann is calling for foreign agencies to come here and help overthrow him? That is totally illegal. And who can deny that Comey was operating as his own operative, not investigating the leaks, not investigating Susan Rice? I mean, this is just a crazy time to be alive. So, Dr. Pachenik of StevePachenik.com, you've heard my rant here. What do you think about what's currently happening with Comey and the desperateness of the so-called left, just everywhere saying, kill me, kill Trump, kill everybody? I mean, they just seem so emboldened looking for a fight.
Well, let me put it this way. Keith Olbermann really paid you one of the highest compliments I have ever seen, Alex, because Keith himself has no substance. He's never had a history of substance. He knows very little about our national security, certainly doesn't know anything about our intelligence, never served our country. But if you look at his modality, his modus operandi, he is trying to ape you, but he can't do it very well. In other words, it was one of the issues you and I talked about many years ago, that the left will come in and try to ape what happened with myself, with the intelligence community, and with you and the alternative right. So what you're seeing now is literally a very fuzzy mirror image of what we had done, but it doesn't work anymore. Now, Keith, I don't know him. I'm sure he's a nice guy. He went to the same school I went to, Cornell. He's pompous. He's bombastic. He was thrown off of MSNBC. Bill Riley had problems with him. Al Gore had problems with him. So the left has always had problems with Keith. He has no substance. He's basically a sports broadcaster. And you may or may not know this, but he had hit his head against a subway door and may have had a concussion. So I look at him as a farce. This is not a serious character. GQ knows that. Pretty much our intelligence system knows that. Remember, in order to have credibility in what you and I do, you have to have had served our country one way or the other. In your case, it has been the consistency and the fortitude to remain in your place and what you have done for 20 years.
Whoops, didn't mean to do that.
Blowing sunshine here. I'm just telling you why it is that they're having a very hard time trying to displace you, me, or even Trump. The issue of Comey is correct. I mean, Trump is correctly said he's a showboater. He's a narcissist. I mean, when he stood up there and said, I can't convict Hillary, but here are the 30,000 reasons why she should be guilty, that was absurd. The reality is the president can and should fire anybody. I had no problem that Comey was fired. I had no problem that FBI has to be reorganized. They've been a faulty organization for many, many years. You and I have talked about it. They need somebody in there who can clean them out and dismiss a lot of people, because the future isn't about, gumshoe investigation. It's going to be about cyber command, cyber control, even on the domestic level. And the FBI is nowhere near the capacity it should be. That's why Mark Rogers of the NSA would be a good leader, or someone else in cyber command should take over the FBI and reorganize it, because it's been the gumshoe industry. Now, I will quote to you something that a very famous FBI agent said, and this is the following. He said, once we collect intelligence and then we are ordered to implement some type of policy, we have become a Gestapo agency. And who said that? J. Edgar Hoover. And Comey didn't listen. Mueller didn't listen. A whole bunch of the FBI directors, Freed, didn't listen. It was J. Edgar Hoover who warned that the minute we collect intelligence and we are asked to implement or manipulate it, we become a Gestapo agency. That's J. Edgar Hoover. So the issue of Trump, I would agree with Roger Stone. There's leakage, and we've said it from day one. It's coming out of the White House. You have Goldman Sachs boys, you have Jared Kushner, and you have McMaster. The issue that came out for you and me was what I said a while ago, is that the triumphant, or the triad, you, Bill Riley, Steve Bannon, were kind of taken offline, but only temporarily. And what's happened is they could not assess your endurance, or the fact that Steve Bannon would remain there, or the fact that Fox and others like myself would remain in the alternative right to keep on saying, there's the truth. Here's a man who's implementing exactly what he's doing. And by the way, he correctly says, you know what? We don't need a press conference. I've said that from day one.
You've been saying that for years. Just get rid of it, give him a statement, because they only distort what he says.
There is no entitlement for journalists to be in the White House, to be anywhere. It was it was an intercession when we didn't have the internet. We don't need journalists to tell me what to do. You don't need a journalist to tell you what happened. You just need 1600 Daily, which is the White House statement of the day. And if you read it, he's protecting Christians. This is what they're doing in one state. This is what they're doing overseas. And they give you a very clear agenda. When you put a group of people whose basic history has been to be sycophants, remember, the basis of journalism is to pander. Once you have pandering within an individual or a group, it doesn't matter whether you're the New York Times or the Washington Post.
They're compromised.
They're compromised. So from day one, my background used to be in disinformation. A journalist would call me up. I never forgot it. At one of the regime changes I had, I told him exactly what he wanted to hear. And then 10 years later, I contradicted him, because that was the ability for me to manipulate the press. The press is just an entity very easily manipulated. They don't have jobs. They can't convert.
And they're becoming more and more obsolete, because in an internet world, people independently can fact check them. There's all these other forms of information that give people a much clearer view. So it shows how antiquated and ridiculous they are. But expanding on this, Comey saying, and then leaking it, that he thought Trump was crazy to say Obama was spying on him. It's now come out that Obama did order thousands of people during the campaign spied on. The New York Times previously bragged that they were spying on Trump. So they're acting like there's no memory there, and they're following this Gruber precept that they're operating in a vacuum and nobody knows what they're doing. Sure, a large part of the public has no memory, but the actual people involved working in the country know they're a discredited pack of liars. So they get more and more crazy, more and more aggressive, more and more out of control in their attempt to defeat the resurgence of a new American system. And they seem to be in total panic mode. I'd just like you to respond to the attempt by Comey to say the president was crazy, to say he was being spied on as president-elect. I mean, that's an absolute fact.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is Comey from day one. I wrote a blog, which I had sent to you, but it was on my blog site in December of 2015, saying that the entire election will depend on Comey. And we were right. But what I didn't add, and I added it afterwards, was Hillary's downfall was not just her own incompetence and the incompetence of the left. It was one individual who I have tracked for 20 to 30 years, and I knew he would never fail to undermine Hillary. And that individual is named Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
The day he walked over to Loretta Lynch, I said, right on, brother. You just screwed your wife for the 30th time in your entire career. The minute he walked into Loretta Lynch, I knew Comey would have to address this issue because that was his boss. And you and I talked about it. I said, she will go down. Comey will go down. The Clintons will go down. That was the key moment I was waiting for.
Sure, so let's expand on this. Why do you think, that you said this basically, that Trump's right to do this? The Democrats all want him fired. He shows he does weird things. I mean, he admitted Hillary was a criminal, but then said, but I can't do anything. That's even worse, to admit she's a criminal, but then say, I can't get prosecutors to do it. But basically saying the whole system's corrupt and they're not showing any courage. I think Comey overall was just a very, very weak person.
Comey was a panderer. I mean, he came out of a major law firm in Washington, D.C., where he worked with a lot of the other lawyers who had worked for Hillary Clinton. I've talked about it. This is part of the Washington set. So what Comey's going to do right after this, and showboating, he's going to go to one of the publishers, or he's going to go to Bennett, who's a very good agent. Bennett, he's a lawyer in Washington, D.C. He has the Clintons, he has Cheney. He will get a huge book contract for millions of dollars, and that's the end of Comey. The reality is the FBI has been an organization that's been out of control for a long time. Remember what happened in the Boston bombing, what happened with the Muslim psychiatrist who basically threatened to kill people in Fort Hood. The FBI had information on it. They never acted on it. What they need is a cleansing, like the CIA.
Yeah, why didn't they act for 2 years when that guy was emailing people and telling folks he was going to kill a bunch of people?
They didn't do anything.
Why?
Because they're incompetent. The ability to do something like you and I is a very simple issue. You, like many people on the alternative right, you and I, it's not that we're smarter, it's that we are willing to take calculated risks when nobody is in the arena. And when I mean calculated risk, look, in principle, you should have been thrown out of this business because of the entire problem that you had with your divorce and all that. But you didn't. You came back even stronger. And that's what we were counting on. And the same thing with you, same thing with you.
Yeah, they think they're going to run a PSYOP. The worse things get, the stronger I get. And the more my listener supports, well, let's flush that out on the other side. There's, in the end, the message will still get out. This arrogance by the bureaucracy that Dr. Pachenik talks about, who was in Washington for a long time, there's an entitlement that you see in any group out there. And I don't claim to have all the answers. I fundamentally believe in free market capitalism. I know it produces incredible wealth, incredible freedom compared to collectivism, whether it be fascist or socialist or communist. So I really believe in what I believe in. And all these special interests, they just can't believe that I actually stand for what I believe in. They want to make their money through crony groups, through inside groups, government contracts, or through government payroll. And they offered me $3 million to sell out, $10 million to sell out. That was a long time ago. Now we bring in way more money than that to build this organization. Money's not a bad thing. It's just that I want to defeat them. I really believe in Team America. And then they are always calling us traitors. We're being funded by foreign groups. I'm funded by you, the listeners, buying products. That's how I have 70 employees and new reporters. And we're doing... They want to call me names and say lies about me and say I'm racist or make up a bunch of crap. I don't care. Now, going back to Dr. Stepachenik, I'm not trying to lionize myself, but he's bringing it up as a model. They've hit us with everything they've got so far. And it's only made the listeners support us more and buy more of our products and spread the word more because they see the censorship, they see the admissions. Now, there may be at some point where we buckle and collapse. I hope it's not the case, but there's already so many other people now doing what we do and what Dr. Pachinik does that the establishment really needs to see the writing on the wall that Trump's only a manifestation of nationalism. And I don't really see where they're going to put the genie back in the bottle. And I'm not trying to give people a pep talk here. I really, truly have studied history, and I've studied the current trends, and I believe if our listeners just continue to take action and continue to spread the word and continue to work hard and promote basic common sense worldwide, we are going to enter a golden era of human productivity in the future. If we don't, though, we're going to enter a new dark age. Dr. Pachinik, what do you think, and other comments about Trump so far? Because I know he did pretty good for a while, kind of went sideways, you got concerned. Sounds like you think he's getting back on track. That's what I've heard from the White House, is that he's going to really get back on track now.
Well, I think what he's doing now and is about to do is absolutely correct. Number one, you fire ad hoc and immediately. Comey should have been fired from day one. Number two, Trump doesn't have to justify anything. And secondly, I would get rid of the press corps on every plane ride. I would get rid of the press corps in the White House. They're absolutely of no value to the Republic. Thirdly, he has people who are loyal to him but are loyal to the Republic. We're talking about the generals. We're talking about the intelligence industry. Now, he has to start putting into place the infrastructure issue. One of the things that I'm most concerned about, even though our economy went up, is that we don't stagnate on growth. We have to have a greater growth than 2% GDP. And one of the reasons for that is that it will justify the Trump approach to the Republic. And once we can grow even more so than Europe, which is going to fail now because of Macron, who's a young kid. They want this young kid who's been in politics and basically is a Euro specialist. They're not going to go anywhere. So America becomes even more powerful. We don't have to get into conflict with North Korea.
Well, stay there and break that down. But since you mentioned that, and I totally agree, Trump's trying to boost the economy while all these other influences show it going down. So we're really in a flux right now where everybody should be rooting for the economy, but they're not. You agree with that statement?
Yeah, basically, I think Trump has to keep his eye on the ball. The ball is the infrastructure. That's why he's brought in Mnuchin. That's why he's been brought in Ross. That's why he's been in.
That's what he keeps telling reporters. He keeps saying, listen, it's the economy. Stay there. I want to come back there and ask you what, but also about Macron, because it's pretty much admitted in the news that he's been compromised since a very young age. And there's reports about sex operative stuff, that we may have a true Manchurian candidate as the new French president. We'll be right back, with his so phony. He's so full of garbage. And then I look at the horrible establishment trying to stall our economy. And if we don't get it going, we're in so much trouble. All the economists admit. And then they're rooting against their own economy.
I'm not sure.
And they're just so bad. It's like, how did we get such a group of bad people in both parties in control of this country? We got a psychiatrist here that's worked in the government for decades and knows this. I mean, I know you got a lot to cover on the economy and other stuff in closing, Dr. Pachinik, stepachenik.com, but just humor me for a minute, because I'm not billing that we're the good guys either. I'm not perfect, but I'm not out to get the country. What is wrong with these people?
What's wrong is the fact that they're irrelevant, and I've said it for a long time. They are beginning to understand that they're totally irrelevant. The New York Times, which is owned by a drug lord, as you and I know, the Washington Post by Bezos. Basically, you don't need any of those people anymore. You anticipated, along with others, that we would be on the internet. What happened is you had what we call first advantage. And the minute you got out there, the people who had no idea what was going on, they'd be on the internet. What happened years later, oh my God, this guy, Alex Jones, has really understood the new communication pattern, which is about binary numbers, 1 and 0. But with all the think tanks that are in Washington, the Brookings, the Heritage, or the this foundation or that foundation, they're all worthless. They're basically nursing homes for people who have no jobs. So you have Washington, one huge nursing home for millions of people who are not effective. We have top secret clearance for 1.5 million people in counterterrorism. I don't know what they do. They don't do anything. I don't even get paid for what I do, and I'm more than happy to help our intelligence community. Yet our intelligence community is so bloated that you need somebody to clean it out. Now, of course, Maxine Walters is there. You made me laugh, but it's not, that's Nico. It's not only her that's in there, there's a bunch of Republicans too. Basically, when you go to Congress, I've treated congressmen and senators, they don't really do anything. When you ask them, what have you done in a day? They don't know. It's all process. Well, we don't need process anymore in the 21st century. So we get rid of the people who need the process to live. Trump does not need process. You do not need process. I do not need process. The reason why Trump doesn't need process is because he fires and hires in seconds. But he builds an asset, whether it's a hotel, whether it's a building, whether it's a golf club, or whether it's the economy in the Americas, he's building an asset. So that's what they're not used to. You have Nancy Pelosi, who should be in a nursing home. Nico, stop that. I know what he's doing. I can't help it because these are the antiquated people. You're talking about 79-year-old
antiquated. She keeps thinking that George Bush is still in office, and then Maxine Waters thinks Putin invaded Korea. I mean, they're nuts.
That's the absurdity. Now, from my point of view and from your point of view, you keep on doing what you're doing. They're self-destructing. What you're watching is the harakiri of literally the Democratic Party, of Congress, and of the Senate. We don't need them. Trump realizes with executive orders we can move this whole country forward. And at the same time, Trump had delegitimized Obama, who came out of nowhere, has no history, accomplished absolutely nothing.
So you think they're going to be unsuccessful bringing Trump down?
I'm sorry?
So you think right now they're going to be unsuccessful bringing Trump down?
Totally unsuccessful. There's not going to be a turnaround on Trump. He can do what he wants. Basically, I would advise him to get rid of the Jared Kushners and the Goldman Sachs boys, but get rid of the press. He doesn't need all that nonsense. All he has to do is constantly sit down, evaluate the problem, implement a solution, and he will do exceedingly well. The issue he's getting caught into is the process, not the noise that's created by all the liberals and the so-called Republicans. We don't need McCain. We don't need a Lindsey Graham. We don't need any of them. But they want to be relevant. The only relevancy they have is that we have to pay their
That's right. They want to get in the way of the recovery. All right. Thank you, Dr. Pachenik. Phone calls and clips coming up. Stay with us.
True God of the universe, whose name is above every name.
Champions for Christ.
He testified to the greatest pieces of literature in the history of mankind because of the power contained within the words of this book.
You are living witness of the gospel message of faith, hope, and love.
Even the most remote areas of India, and especially Africa, have heard of him. Jesus Christ has been preached in and is believed on in all nations of the world. Our God is not like their God. This has been Daria for Infowars.com.
Leading a frontal assault on the Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm David Knight, and it's Tuesday, May 16th, 2017. Here are top stories.
Tonight, the Clinton body count resurfaces as a private investigator discovers evidence that Seth Rich had contact with WikiLeaks prior to his murder. Meanwhile, the FBI and D.C. police continue to insist that it was a robbery gone bad. Then, cancer patients across the country are claiming that Roundup is the cause of their disease. So Monsanto responds by hiring an army of trolls to silence dissent on the internet. That's up next on the InfoWars Nightly News.
The reason InfoWars Live has 5-star ratings on major third-party sites is because I want products I'm going to use for my family. I take this. My family takes this. And then it funds the operation with the most hardcore, truthful information you're going to find anywhere. So what you find in our news is the same thing you find in our products at InfoWarsLive.com.
If I ever forget to take them, I have a noticeable difference. I don't feel good. The nascent iodine is one of the ones that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I actually have just run out of my super female. I had a few bottles at my house, and I've been taking it again, hitting the gym once again. Very exciting, feeling great, looking good. So, and I know my hair is luxurious once again. So obviously the super female is amazing. I love it.
Nascent iodine is essential. Survival Shield X2. If there's one product that I would say is life-changing that I would suggest, it's Nascent iodine Survival Shield X2. It's got a 5-star rating.
It's a win-win. InfoWarsLive.com.
Well, the big story today, depending on who you are, is either the fact that there was massive correspondence between slain DNC staffer Seth Rich with WikiLeaks people, or is it the anonymous source that said that Donald Trump gave away secrets when he met with the Russians at the White House that has been pushed back on? Well, it depends. If you are New York Times, ABC, CNN, BBC, CBS, NPR, The Hill, Politico, they're not interested at all in the Seth Rich story. But they've been talking all day about the story that has no sources, the story that says, well, we don't have any current or former government officials who've given us this information. Well, there weren't that many people at the meeting. But that's the story that sucked up all the news cycles. That story that came out 1 hour after Fox News broke an investigation story about the private investigator that had been hired by the family, saying that he knew of 43,053 emails, 17,761 attachments that had been sent by slain DNC staffer Seth Rich to Gavin McFadden, a man that had close links to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Gavin is also dead at the time, right? He subsequently died. It's interesting, isn't it? How many murders we see follow the Clintons. And of course, it's just circumstantial. It's just circumstantial that all those people surrounding them politically, people who know things about the Clintons, just happen to turn up. It's just unfortunate circumstances, isn't it? Just serendipitous for the Clintons that people who know things about them can no longer talk about them because they're deceased. And as they say on Breitbart, they point out the interesting thing here is the silence from the mainstream media about this. All these news outlets that I just reported to you. And the few that have covered it, like the Washington Post, as I point out, they waited 24 hours to publish anything about this. And then what they did was they published the family pushing back and saying, this is untrue. Or NBC that did cover it. They said DNC staffer's murder draws fresh conspiracy theories. And yet what it shows is that the conspiracy theory that we've been fed for about 10 months now that the Russians hacked this is falling apart. We're going to have an interview with Lee Stranahan, and we're going to show a different side of this, where he's followed the crowdsource narrative that's being pushed by the FBI, by former Director Comey. They are the sole source of the idea that the Russians hacked the DNC information. We've had a lot of people come out from WikiLeaks saying that, no, this was handed to us, and yet the mainstream media and the FBI are going to CrowdStrike. Who are they? They are the contractor for the DNC. They were the ones who were controlling their computer system. And they worked for Hillary Clinton indirectly. They're saying that the Russians hacked this information, and we've been saying all along, no, it was handed over. It wasn't even hacked. And then they took it a step farther, and they said the Russians hacked the election, implying that the Russians had gotten in and flipped voting machines. That was never the case. They said the Russians manipulated this narrative. They did it by grabbing electronically this information that came out of the DNC. And again, the only source on that is CrowdStrike. So we're going to talk about Lee Stranahan, who's followed this for a long time, who asked a question at a press conference last week at the White House, and the word CrowdStrike was stricken from the transcript. I think it's very interesting that there are people everywhere who do not want CrowdStrike mentioned. But let's look at what actually came out from Fox News.
Son of a bitch.
And this is this afternoon as the family of slain DNC staffer Seth Rich blasts the detective over the report of the WikiLeaks link. The family said that Rod Wheeler, a retired Washington homicide detective and Fox News contributor investigating the case on behalf of the family, said that he was stepping over the line. They said, we don't want this to become a conspiracy theory. They said this is unsubstantiated. And what he tweeted out was, he said, my investigation up to this point shows there was some degree of email exchange between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks. It was very specific about the number of emails, the number of attachments, and so forth. But the family is pushing back on this. And I have to ask, if this was your son who was killed, would you not want to explore every avenue of investigation? We've said this before. What is a conspiracy theory? Well, a conspiracy theory, and of course, conspiracy charges are some of the most frequently leveled charges in a criminal investigation. All that means is that more than one person was involved in a crime. But when you're looking at a crime, what do? You always come up with theories, and then you test those theories against the facts. They're saying, we don't want to hear anything about this. They say those interested in pushing conspiracy theories will stop at nothing to do so. However, an FBI forensic report of Rich's computer, generated within 96 hours after Rich's murder, showed that he made contact with WikiLeaks through Gavin McFadden, a now deceased American investigative reporter and documentary filmmaker and director of WikiLeaks, who was living in London at the time. So now we have FBI forensic report within 96 hours, this is Fox News reporting this, that shows that these communications were taking place. A massive amount of information was being sent from Seth Rich to them. And the investigator, federal investigator who wishes to remain anonymous, said, I have seen and read the emails between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks. He said the emails are in the possession of the FBI, while the stalled case is in the hands of the Washington Police Department. So the FBI doesn't want to investigate. The D.C. police don't want to investigate. And the family doesn't seem to want to know if the trail is going to lead to somebody that they like. I would want to know, regardless of where this trail leads, if it was my son. The investigator who had been hired by the family and who is a contributor to Fox News, Wheeler, said, I do believe that the answers to who murdered Seth Rich sit on his computer on a shelf at the D.C. police or the FBI headquarters. And again, the federal investigator was the one who came up with that exact number of emails and federal attachments, very specific, 44,053 emails. And they point out that it was just 12 days after Rich was killed when WikiLeaks published the DNC emails that appeared to show top party officials were conspiring. There's that word again, conspiring. Yes, they were conspiring to stop Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont from becoming the party's presidential nominee. And remember, we had WikiLeaks at the time come out and offer a $20,000 reward for information about the murder of Seth Rich. When Julian Assange was being interviewed, he said, "We are very concerned. People are putting their lives on the line all the time." He said, "Look at the
All right, guys,
DNC staffer Seth Rich, who was just
probably going to end it. I need to.
Wait a minute, are you saying?
I need to fix some settings. I'm going to bed. I need to get rid of some of the settings that I have for NVIDIA. Maybe uninstall it. I don't fucking know. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night. I will see you again tomorrow. Good night. Peace.